Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Mr. Cocaine Presents edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party!
Monster Party! Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, what's happening? All right.
I'm feeling funny.
Those are beautiful sounds. And wow. Hey, man, I'm not going to let you guys trip alone.
Okay.
So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan, man.
I'm flying high, Larry STROTHE. Yeah.
I'm James GONIS.
Oh, way to improvise. All right. Well, and I love the fact that all our drug referencing is all like, what is it, 75 years ago? Or
Yeah.
all this banter right out of Reefer Madness.
Yeah.
So
Like my
we're
uncle
all,
from the 60s.
Right.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we should probably say what the topic is.
What is this wild and hot topic?
Larry is trying to steer you toward the topic, which we're just simply going to call drugs. Oh my God. Did you just scream as loud as you could? Because you completely disappeared.
But in horror, sci-fi, drugs.
Yes, drugs and
drugs.
horror and sci-fi movies and TV, maybe in some novels, comic books.
Yeah.
Wherever
Genre.
drugs rear their happy heads.
Or ugly heads.
Yes.
Well, yes,
Both.
no, there is there
Sexy heads.
absolutely is a downside and a sexy side to drugs.
Yes.
I can attest to that.
But this is going to be such a wild and fun topic.
It is. It's going to be a wild ride.
How can we do this high topic?
Well,
Do this.
I think that for this one, we need someone who is my drug. Really, he is the acid to my brain. He is the thing that puts a skip in my step and a song in my heart. And then I come out of it and I feel like I need to drink some water. Ladies and gentlemen,
He's a return guest.
he is a return guest.
guest.
He's a longtime friend of mine, a celebrated comedian, writer, actor, director, producer, calendar model. He's done it all. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Fred Belford.
Fred Belford.
Right.
Hey, man.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Adderall. That'll help
All
you
right.
right now.
Okay, Johnny Dragnet. He's like,
Give me drugs.
give me drugs. Give me drugs.
Hey, Fred.
Oh, that's good. That's a nice reference.
Fred, it's
That's
great
not
to meet you.
necessarily genre,
No.
but Vinny Barbarino from Welcome Back, Kotter.
One of
Right.
the best. One of the best.
One of the best fake drug guys ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, Fred, and we're so happy to have you. And I don't know. I guess we should probably just start. Just hit us with all your drug stories, because I know you got a million of them.
But is there like a movie, film, television, or cartoon or comic that had drugs in it that hit you?
You have one that right off the bat, that when you think of drugs in a genre thing, what's the first one that comes to your mind?
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, nice.
Carrie Fisher.
Okay.
Cocaine to get ready for her character.
Wait, whoa, no. That
No,
I don't
that-
recall that in the movie.
John
It was-
Belushi. Everything. Format. Are we just pitching them?
You want me to throw one out there for you?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. One for me, I think the first one that I think of when I think of drugs in a sci-fi horror movie, and the one I'm thinking of is a science fiction horror movie, and that is one of Shawn Sheridan's favorites,
Of course.
Blue Sunshine.
Blue Sunshine.
Now, Fred, are you aware of this movie?
Mm-mm.
Blue
But I did one of
Sunshine.
these. Am I gonna do it?
You have brought gravitas to this subject so far.
Blue
But
Sunshine.
Blue Sunshine is a 1978 film written and directed by Jeff Lieberman, who brought us Squirm and Just Before Dawn. Great movies, but this one I think is his best film.
Yeah,
I really do. I
original.
really do love this movie.
It's so unique.
It's very unique. And so the premise is Mark Goddard, who is Dawn from Lost in Space, as we all know, stars as Ed Fleming, who is a college drug dealer who sold a type of acid called Blue Sunshine. 10 years later, the people who took Blue Sunshine start losing their hair and eventually become homicidal maniacs.
Yes.
Okay, already good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so during a party attended by Jerry Zipkin, who is played by Zalman King, one of Jerry's friends goes Blue Sunshine crazy and kills a bunch of people at the party.
Yeah.
Zipkin ends up being wanted for the murders and sets out to expose Ed Fleming, who is now running for Congress.
Yes.
So it's neat. It's got horror elements. It's also got this conspiracy thing, and you've got Zalman King as Jerry Zipkin trying to figure out, well, what is actually causing these people to murder? And, it leads back to this drug. And
It's got a sequence in a disco.
I mean, it's pure fun. And I just recently got this deluxe set Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray actually comes with some mock tabs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that
Brilliant.
great?
Oh.
That
great.
is.
But in 10 years, they're going to go. So
That's what I love the idea.
the
I love
20th
the
anniversary.
idea.
Or the 50th.
I love the idea of like this super delayed reaction.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like people talk about, oh yeah, I had like a bad trip or had a bad reaction like the next day.
Yeah, and you shake it off and then you go
Yeah.
back in.
But the idea that like this stuff, whatever it was, is in your system for years and years, and just suddenly like a time bomb.
Yeah.
These varied people who are now in different walks of life, they're adults now,
Yeah.
and they just suddenly go crazy, and it's frightening the way they do it though, because it's like
Well-
they just go wide-eyed and like they lose their mind, and
They start losing
image-
their hair.
Yeah, the image of like the bald and like it's really well done.
And so
Well,
it's cool.
and this being the 70s, that's half the horrors. Oh my God, my hair.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
People
But
are
there
going to go
is some-
crazy. That's not
It's
scary.
like it's
What's great is that you see these people who are affected by the Blue Sunshine, and you can tell something's weird about them. But like when you watch a movie and someone's wearing a wig, you don't always know if it's just because that person wanted to wear a wig, or they always wear a wig or a hairpiece.
right,
And that no, it's hiding this horrible, deadly secret.
right.
And everybody who does it, everybody who does the Blue Sunshine turn does it very well, I think, in this movie.
Yeah. It's nice, a cool mystery too, because it's unraveling as Zalman King's character is trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, it's
Yes.
really cool.
How many people did he give it to originally?
Well, I don't know. In the film, it doesn't get into exactly how many people, but
Yeah.
it does show that there are people within this guy's circle of friends
Right.
that did take it, and then some who he doesn't know at all. And then he is going down this road to find them, to find out questions about what could have possibly started this wave of violence and they're losing their hair. And everything leads back to Edward Fleming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he starts to get closer and closer. And to Mark Goddard, who's Edward Fleming, it's just like, who is this nut?
Yeah.
You know,
And then the cops are after him as well because they think he did all these murders. And you got a really great cast. I think Zalman King is great. He's like doing this kind of like pseudo method. I don't really know what it is.
He's odd, but it fits.
But it works,
Fits the
yeah.
movie.
It does work. And then you've got Deborah Winters. And Deborah Winters is great because she also did another fun drug scare film from 1970 called The People Next Door. Sean, do you know that one? Do you guys know that one?
From the
But-
70s?
Yeah, 1970, The People Next Door, and she's all messed up on drugs, and it's all about her parents trying to deal with her, and that's a good movie. But And then you've got Robert Walden, who was Joe Rossi from the Lou Grant
Yeah,
movie
he's great.
series.
Right, yeah.
He's great. Alice Ghostly, Esmeralda on
Love
Bewitched.
her. Love
She's
her.
good. Brian James, Leon.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Blade Runner, he's in it. So it's a great cast. It's a lot of fun. It moves right along. I mean, it really gets going from the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music's good too. Creepy music score.
Really creepy music.
I mean,
When
you
the
could
cops are after him, do they say stuff like, he murdered a lot of people and shaved their heads, the sicko?
Show us where the razor is.
I don't remember that, but I do remember Sean had mentioned it to me. My daughter and I, we borrowed the film from Sean, and both she and I, we were just totally into it. Yeah, it's a 70s-esque movie, but it's really, really neat, and the ending was terrific, we thought.
Unique.
And it's also one of the few movies where the drug is actually the title of the movie.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a little bit of a spoiler, the poster, because you've got this bald-headed lady, on the front. But it's okay. That's fine.
Somebody should make like a strain of cannabis called Blue Sunshine. That'd be awesome.
I wonder. I have to imagine that somebody did.
Yeah,
no, Sean, if there was a little reefer pack that says, "Hey, this is the new Blue Sunshine," you would use it?
Of course.
But wouldn't you be afraid of your hair falling out and going?
No, because
mad?
this is reality.
Okay, let me explain something called fiction to you.
Okay.
These are stories that people make up.
Yes. Okay.
So when you go and you watch a movie, do you think like you're watching the news?
No, but I like to, when I'm watching something, I like get into it. Like, hey,
it's just getting out of it again is the problem. Is what you're saying?
Exactly. but look, that's a film. That's a film that's like it's a real drug. It's like a bad drug. But what if there was a drug that you had to take to help change your behavior?
Okay.
Like suppose like for 1971's Clockwork Orange, directed by Stanley Kubrick. This is with Malcolm McDowell.
Right.
I mean, he plays Alex. It takes place in the future where a gang of hooligans led by McDowell, who plays Alex, they cause a lot of mayhem in this town and they actually kill somebody and he gets captured. And so they're saying, hey, this is a bad kid, but he volunteers to go through this unique treatment. And it's an aversion experiment, and it doesn't exactly go as planned. It's an experimental behavior modification treatment called the Ludovico technique. Ludovico. And so what they do is they give him this drug that makes him sick when he gets excited by seeing images of violence and anything that he used to get excited about. Now it affects him, and it messes it up so much that he totally changes him. And
what's interesting about this movie is the fact that it's not just the drug, it's the drug and the aversion therapy to create this reaction in him.
It creates this nausea-inducing reaction, and
like painful in his stomach, if it keels over.
Mm-hmm.
But what's horrifying is you get to the point where this kid is really a bad, evil kid, but you you feel sorry for him.
You do,
because of what happens when he gets out, and this drug has really affected him. But to me, that's an example of a drug totally taking a different reaction.
But you also have in that film the whole culture of drugs, because you have the milk bar.
Yeah, Loco Plus.
Right, and there's like opiates and adrenochrome and all these different drugs that they can get as drinks with milk.
And then, like usually before they go out for a night of ultra violence,
right?
They go to the Corova Milk Bar, and they
good boys. They're
like good boys. They have their milk,
yeah.
And there are different flavors of this milk that give you different effects, and they drink this stuff to get them all hyped up and ready and energetic for their night of as you said, mayhem.
Yeah. Right. Now, I will have to admit, when I first saw this, I think I was 21 or 22 at the time, and I thought literally the milk
sitting
bar,
there in your Cub Scout uniform, going,
I did.
This is wrong.
It was literally a milk bar where they're trying like chocolate milk or milk with a little strawberry.
So you thought it was just regular milk.
And I thought to myself, that might be a neat place to go. It's a little sexual in there, but a little too much. But yes, Sean is right. There are drugs throughout the film.
Yeah.
Hey, Mikey, do the in out. He won't do it. He hates everything.
All right. Well, Clockwork Orange from 1971, another drug. Okay.
Nice.
The scene that drove me crazy when I was a kid watching that was after the drug and the aversion therapy, when he tested.
Yes.
Yeah, that naked girl in front of him, and he's just going like he's trying to grab her. And I'm so frustrated, like just do it. It's just like, you'll never get this.
You'll never get this chance again.
The wrong message for like a young prepubescent like.
Sure, right? Yeah.
Why don't you grab her boobies, man?
Yeah.
You see,
just fall forward.
But you see, his initial reaction. His initial reaction is, I want to grab and molest and fondle. It was an angry, a violent thing. And that's what causes him to get nauseous. If he had a completely different, like, oh, I'm in love, maybe it would be a completely different thing. But that's what the drug did to him.
Well, I mean, the drug and the technique, the idea is that they're trying to mimic this feeling of what your body goes through when you feel remorse or guilt or, and he doesn't have that in him at all. He's a sociopath, right? So they're trying to recreate this almost chemically, and, it doesn't really work that way. They find out. And that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, not just for the drugs, but I mean, it's so disturbing and beautiful.
It works in so many levels.
Yeah.
And doesn't he shake off the effects after his old group beats him up, right?
He doesn't shake off the effects. What happens is that he gets beat up by his old buddies who are now cops, and they leave him for dead. And he finds his way back to the home where he originally
committed the murder.
Well, no, he didn't. No, he raped this guy's wife.
This woman, yeah.
Was it Patrick McGee, right?
Right.
And killed him with a giant ballot, right?
No, that's a different person. That's the person. That's the woman who he kills that gets him in jail.
Right.
This is the person early in the film who just
in the apartment, and the guy's nice,
and it says home like in neon letters.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to this place with his droogies, and they rape the wife, and they beat him up. And now he goes back there, and the guy is now in a wheelchair. The wife dies or kills herself or something like that. I don't know if it's explained, but she's dead. And now he's got a bodyguard who is Dave Prowse.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And at first the guy doesn't recognize him, but he's getting the feeling that something's odd about this kid. And then he hears him singing in the rain in the bathtub. And that makes it all come back, because that's what Alex was singing during the raping and the, right. Yeah. So they are going to make him kill himself by blasting Beethoven's Ninth, because at the same time that he was doing this aversion therapy, they were playing Beethoven, which ironically is like his favorite music.
That's one of the things that would really set him off. He loved it so much, and that helped him get into the violent stuff. Yeah. So by using this music that he can't listen to anymore, he just can't take it and decides, I need to kill myself. I need to do myself in, and literally jumps out of the window.
Well, spoiler alert, they get him to a hospital and they work on him, and what they do is they reverse the effects of the Ludovico treatment. And so now he's back to his old self again. And I think the last line of the movie is, I was cured all right. Yeah.
Okay, now one question. Now, Matt, I know it's one of your favorite movies. Did you ever dress up like Alex and had like a little group of droogs walking?
Well, I came close. I came very close a couple Halloweens ago, because I didn't know, what I was going to do for a costume. And I went into like Halloween Town. And they had one like ready to go, like a.
Are you serious?
Like an off the rack ready. I didn't think anyone made them.
Hey kids, you can be a droog this Halloween.
Yeah. It wasn't Ben Cooper. Okay, it didn't have a picture of Alex and then like a little bib thing that had Alex on the shirt, coming out at you.
You decided not to.
It was only because it was too expensive.
I see.
It
wasn't because you didn't know of 3 other guys who'd want to dress up with you or anything like that.
Well, I don't think that you wouldn't have wanted to do that, would you?
I don't know.
I would have done it.
Maybe
You would have done it? Sean, would you have done it?
As a group cosplay, yeah. I mean, if we had the right costumes and we had them really well done.
I don't know. It's like, the four monster party guys
Fred,
dressing up in that. I don't know.
Fred, you could be Patrick McGee in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
You could be that sergeant. The prison guard guy.
Oh, my.
So look, Clockwork Orange, another.
That's a good one.
Sean,
that was a great documentary.
Yeah. Sean?
Well, this one, of course, this is one where I know we've talked about this film before, but we have to mention this on this episode for this topic. And that would be William Castle's 1959 classic, The Tingler.
Oh, I'm so happy you mentioned
Oh my gosh, you're right.
The premise of the movie, of course, is Vincent Price is experimenting on, he's trying to study the effects of fear.
Yes.
And, he finds out just by chance that it turns out when people are really scared, like terrified, there's this organic creature that actually grows and forms on your spine, inside of you, along your spine. Called
Looks like a centipede.
Yeah, it literally just forms out of nothing because it's generated by the fear and adrenaline in your body. But the problem is, he discovers, is that when you scream, because people scream naturally when they're afraid, the scream disintegrates the tingler.
It makes it go back into your body.
Doesn't it make it go soft and limp?
Well, yeah, and completely dissolve. So he's fascinated by the idea of capturing and removing a tingler. So
yes.
How do you do that? But in the process of studying fear, he wants to see what it's like himself to feel the tingler on his spine and to try not to scream. So he does a little experiment. He locks himself in his lab and injects himself with LSD.
Right. Yeah.
And apparently we've said this before, but apparently it's the first time in a movie, this is like 1959, I guess, that you see a taking LSD.
Yes.
And
isn't that cool?
It's a classic scene, of course, because it's Vincent Price and he's
awesome.
He takes it and he's locked in this place by himself. He's doing this controlled experiment by himself and he's recording himself. So he's talking. He's like, okay, it's 10:15 p.m. Starting to feel a little woozy. No severe signs yet, and then he starts to freak out. Like of course, he has a hanging skeleton in his lab.
He sees the skeleton.
So
he's like, oh.
He's like, oh. And it starts building and building. He's like, mustn't scream. And he thinks the walls are closing in on him. He's like, the walls. And eventually, of course, he just belts out this great, fantastic scream.
And only Vincent Price can do.
It's so great, though. I love it. Every time I see it, I love it.
It's a thing of beauty because it is dramatic.
But preposterous at the same time.
Right, but it's also hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually played this sequence at my wedding. Yeah, because we did a little bit of a Tingler-themed wedding. You listeners have heard the story before.
As many people have done Tingler-themed weddings.
But you know. Get the package deal if you're going to do
that. In the movie theater, right?
Get the whole thing. Yeah, in the movie theater, yeah. And the Tingler was my fear of commitment. And so we had to get it before I could get married. But I love that scene. And when he's doing his scream and it's the build to right before he screams.
Right.
It's pure joy.
But
if
also,
you've
it's
never
like
seen this movie, you've got to do it.
And back then, this was before, LSD became a thing in the 60s. So it was this medical experiment, because afterwards it's like, it was pretty crazy. I really got scared like that. Then that's like a little subplot in the film, but it's just fascinating.
Well, I like how he just assumes that he's going to get scared. Because the first time I ever did acid, I laughed my ass off. I had a great time,
So your Tingler would have loved you.
My Tingler was giving me all the wrong signals. My Tingler was saying, do more acid.
Yeah.
Now, for listeners, understand, this film was made in 1959.
Right.
And apparently, Rob White, who was the writer of this, he had experimented with LSD at UCLA, and he decided to work it into the script. And if you think about it, at that time, this was a new thing. There was like experimental stuff with LSD.
Right.
So this was like it was contemporary at the time,
Right,
even though it was illegal, But
it's kind of like, it reminds me, just as a tangent, when Roger Corman made The Trip in the 60s, he actually took some LSDs, he took some acid to see what it was like.
Right.
When he's making the movie, just to get the authenticity of it.
It's funny. Like, I know I looked it up to make sure. Touch of Evil came out the year before, and that was the first time I'd ever seen like heroin.
Right.
Yeah. But also but also in that kind of like villainous way.
Right. Right.
I gave her heroin. Like, you Beth. Like,
it's not like a bunch of jazz musicians just having a good time.
Right.
I got your wife a decade of heroin. Yeah. And you're just like going like, this is like, you're going like, I thought this was like an old timey movie. Like, this is a real shitty like theme. Like,
And
then, Touch of Evil, it's more of a film noir, but it is so dark. And Orson Welles is so menacing and so horrible in that
classic film.
Well, it's like his other big, aside from Citizen Kane, it's like his other big recognized. I think most people would agree that Citizen Kane and that are his best film.
Yeah.
But when Fred is mentioning the sequence when you have the beautiful Janet Leigh, the pretty Janet Leigh in there, they like put the heroin in her and it just messes her up. I mean, that was horrifying. I hated that.
But it's also it came like I saw it as a kid, and you're just going like, what? It's an old timey movie. You're like, okay, I'll watch this on TV.
And you never touched heroin after that, did you?
Or Janet Leigh.
That's a mistake.
Right. Well, it's like Janet Leigh's into you. I was like, no, she's a real drug addict. She loves the heroin.
Janet Leigh, she was pretty daring with her acting choices.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she did a lot of interesting roles.
Yes, and let's give credit to Charlton Heston. This was a different character for him too. He was
Latino?
Probably not my favorite.
Role
he's fine.
Good in it, but
he's fine.
It's a strange casting, but he's good in it. He's great. Yeah.
It somehow manages to work.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, if we're gonna go old timey movies now, how about you guys have all seen The Man with the Golden Arm, right?
Oh,
Sinatra?
That's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. I thought that was a surprisingly good scene of someone trying to kick it.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm sure James has a great drug movie that he wants to tell us about.
Oh, well.
Play one of your home movies.
No. Oh, come on.
Isn't there like drug use in interiors?
It's a running gag, Fred.
Probably is actually. But no, when I think of one of the trippiest filmmakers is one of my favorite filmmakers. It would be David Cronenberg. And you would think his imagery is so surreal. You would think the drugs inform a lot of his plots, but surprisingly few, except for one movie where drugs play a big part in it, and that's Naked Lunch. Is not
on my list.
Adaptation
one of my favorites.
Adaptation of a William Burroughs book, and Burroughs himself, of course, was a big, heroin addict. Was a big
Wait
part
a minute,
of his
what?
life and his
Wait!
Well,
No!
Don't
Don't just toss it. Did you just say
William Burroughs?
Yes.
The author.
Yes.
Was a heroin addict, self-professed, and his
Okay, wait a minute, James, hold on here. Larry, not Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Oh, thank God.
William Burroughs.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got a little.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did a little the tonight, so I'm okay.
Although I'm sure that when I watch At the Earth's Core, I just see a big heroin needle going into the ground.
Right.
But no one's suggesting that anyone do that. We're all just joking here.
and
Thank you, Dare.
He'd be the first person to tell you not to do heroin unless you wanted to feel better or write a masterpiece. Do not do it.
Right.
But it's one of my favorite films of Cronenberg's. Actually, I can't say it's necessarily the most successful of his.
No.
In fact,
but it's fascinating.
it bombed at the box office, but it's a really great mood piece, and Peter Weller's really good in it. He plays a writer who's also an exterminator, and he gets addicted to his own bug powder, and it gives
and his wife does too.
His wife does too, Judy Davis.
Right.
Yes.
And he gets into a whole series of hallucinations that take him on all these bizarre adventures into a whole other country in North Africa, a fictional country, Interzone, where where he runs into a giant beetle that his typewriter transforms into and commands him to do all these things, and ultimately runs into Roy Scheider as Dr. Benway, who's raising all these.
Yeah, like this black market drug thing going on. Like,
the drug is called. They're making a drug called black meat.
Black meat,
which is derived from giant centipedes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a scene in there that's maybe one of my all-time favorite scenes in a movie ever.
Yeah.
We know that Dr. Benway exists, but then there's this housekeeper named Fidela. And at one point, Fidela reveals herself to be Dr. Benway in disguise. And so it's literally like Roy Scheider just like busts out of this woman.
Yeah.
And it's so good. And I remember, I think I saw this with Dana Gould. And Dana said something like, just goes to show you, inside every woman is Roy Scheider. But that movie is not for everyone. However, it is so entertaining from beginning to end for me. And the effects, the practical effects, these bug creatures,
the mugwumps,
and the mugwump juice, and all of it is so fascinating. And the the element of that Cronenberg body horror thing that he's so good at is really at play in this movie.
And it has its own sort of nightmare logic. It's not really much of a plot, and it certainly doesn't make a lot of sense. And it doesn't really follow Burroughs' book all that closely. It's sort of
like
thing
a
in and of
stream
itself.
of consciousness dream nightmare,
But it's almost like you're seeing the movie through the eyes of someone who is on bug spray.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So if you're a Cronenberg fan, you've probably already seen it. But if you're at least been interested, definitely check it out because it's kind of fun.
If Easter is coming and you need a movie,
James,
put on Naked Lunch.
What's the date on Naked Lunch?
1991.
91.
If you're a fan of cockroaches.
And sexy Roy Scheider.
Nice one,
old-timey typewriters.
Nice one.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Hey, Fred, you got one for us?
Yeah, I do, and it's one of my favorites is Blade 2, Blood Cocaine.
Yes, yeah. See, now I forgot all about that.
I like that movie.
Like, we need to get the vampires on drugs. Well, they just pretty much like blood. What if I'm just gonna spit blood cocaine?
To be that guy who pitched that, I got it.
Right?
I got it.
And the little glass vials that it came in, and you could buy those as props now. Like those little glass vials filled with like red fake cocaine, which is such a like. If you ever saw somebody with it and you said like, "Oh, is that from Blade 2?" It's like this weird, super Illuminati secret society.
Right. Yeah, it's like a secret handshake. Yeah.
Like nobody knows.
Blade 2 is the one where the vampires have like they've evolved. They open their mouth, right?
Yes.
I love that. It's so creepy.
And in Blade 1, you've got Blade to make sure he doesn't cross over into vampire. He's given that special drug that holds it back.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But then in Blade 2, it's like the vampires have like they've morphed. They've evolved to where their face kind of can open up. And
I think it's like a weird strain, like a messed up disease that makes them destroy these vampires, where they're split on the chin, so they open up this way, and they'll even attack vampires and stuff. So
right.
It's a great that movie has a really nice mixture of CGI and practical effects.
Yeah, it's done pretty well especially for that time too.
Yes.
And I remember this story. I was auditioning for a show on MTV, and I'm sitting there and I see this like on the door. It says something 2, but it wasn't Blade. It was like something 2 secret.
Right.
And I'm looking at all these like monsters and stuff on the wall.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Hellboy fan, and
Us
so
too.
and I just slowly wandered in, and it was a production office for Blade 2, and every wall was covered with hundreds of designs.
Wow.
And it was all Mike Mignola art. Nobody was there, and in my head I'm like, steal some of this, steal some of this. And then I hear the classic, "Can I help you?" Like, oh, run, just me. And then I turn around and I'm like talking to this guy. I go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at this art. Is this for like Blade 2?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's top secret." I go, "Okay." And I'm like, "It looks a lot like Mike Mignola art." He goes, because it is Mike Mignola art." I was like, "Oh," and I just went, "You're Mike Mignola, aren't you?" This young guy, and at the time, and like he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, and I started talking to him. I'm a big fan. And he goes, "I am Hellboy." And he goes, and I go, he goes, "We're coming up with an action figure." I go, "I know, I'm buying, that Madman." There was like a
sure,
yeah,
and he goes, "You want to see it?" And so like he had it in his he had this prototype, and he showed me all this stuff.
That's cool.
And I was like, "I had a really great time with you, man." Like, and I missed my audition, just hanging out with him. And then I was like, "Do you want to? Should we like maybe, I don't know, hug?" And he goes, "No." And it was like, but that was like my big connection.
That's cool though.
And
that's a good choice though. Yeah, too.
Yeah, I didn't know how that story was going to go.
But Fred, you could always have said, "I'm Mr. MTV." You could have said that, given that big, big wig here.
You see that line of kids out there, 10 years younger than me.
In my mind, as you were telling the story, I just saw this security guard who, when you said, "You're Mike Mignola, right?" And he just goes, "Yeah, I'm Mike Mignola. Now, why don't we talk about my work outside?"
The gate, outside the gate.
But this was not Comic-Con. This is like West Hollywood.
Right.
Nobody gave a crap. So like, it's that weird, like if you've ever bumped into a celebrity and they're like this, and you're like, it's just me. There's no crowd. Like, hey, I'm just a fan. Like I'm just saying, "Hi, you're great. Love your movie." You're whatever. You do something like that. And so like, there was no like real pretense of like, "I've stalked you." So like,
although it kind of feels that way.
when
all of a sudden there's some stranger in the Blade 2 office. Hi, you're Mike Mignola.
So
the vampires told me you were here.
Did you ever finish? Did you ever go to the audition?
Or
did you just blow it off?
I blew it off, and then yeah.
That's badass.
Mignola, like, and then I was just like, I didn't get it to my people, and they of course knew that I didn't go in and scene. But
then Mike Mignola came in and went, "Listen,
you can use that hug."
It was with me all afternoon. We got some sodas at the drugstore.
Well, Fred,
and then I sent him on his way.
I'm so happy to hear that he was so nice to you. That's really cool.
It was great. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I think had it been like Comic-Con, he probably would have went like, "No."
Right.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
But
that's a great story.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie, and it's one of those movies that are just beautiful too. Like,
yes.
Visually it's very cool.
Yeah. And it's like, it's got its problems, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's pretty solid.
It's my favorite Blade movie myself.
I think because of all the Blade stuff and like vampires, I think people they forget about it, or it gets lost.
Yeah.
And I think Blade 2 is something that people should revisit.
They should.
And a rare example of that's pre-MCU, right? So that's that was a successful Marvel action horror character before Iron Man hit,
Yeah, and that's and I think the hardest thing about number 2 was having moments like number 1 that made it so amazing, like some motherfuckers always trying to skate uphill, and so like these moments when you saw it as like going like, yes, I'm in. And then and Blade 1 had the problem with like, it's funny how like you can see where they were like, Steven Dorff's a good guy, but is he really the bad guy?
Well, right. Yeah. Just the pace of that movie is disjointed, in my opinion.
The first one, you mean?
Yes.
I still like it.
I still like it. And I think it's impressive. And Wesley Snipes was born to be Blade. I mean,
absolutely.
It was amazing. And you can see that it's how low budget it is, but what they did with it was amazing. And
Yeah.
then, and I remember number 2, that's when they were just like, they took it to the next level of like the UV bombs. I think the CGI was, when I saw it, I didn't dig it during the fight scenes because it's sort of.
You can kind of, looking at it now, it's a little dated, but like
at the time, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Well, I thought number 1 was so good with the fighting. Blade was so good in number 1 fighting that when they CGI'd him and like made him a little,
yeah.
You don't need to Blade, make everybody else CGI, but keep Blade. You know, that was my
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's why I used to wear that shirt that said "Keep Blade."
But
Hey, I wonder what now, as a comic book fan.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to do with Morbius, the living vampire.
Right, which is
because
greenlit, right?
Yes, because Morbius is kind of a drug thing because he's a scientific vampire.
Right.
A scientific experiment made him a vampire. I just wonder how that, it's been so many years since the original Blade trilogy, and less said about 3 the better, but I wonder
Deadpool.
What's that?
I just pretended starring Deadpool.
Yeah. I just wonder, I wonder how they're going to handle Morbius. Because, in the comic books, like I normally love a comic book costume that's, they maybe tweak it a little bit for the screen, but it still holds on to the, the general feel from the comic books. But you can't really do that with Morbius because like all of a sudden now you're in this kind of spandex bat costume.
Yeah. It works kind of part shirtless or whatever. It's like a V kind of big thing.
And there's I don't know how you explain that.
Yeah.
What's wrong with spandex, Matt?
There's there's especially in comic books, there is nothing wrong with spandex. And if you create a comic book world that pulls that off, I mean, look at The Boys. There's spandex all over that, and I think it works really well.
Perfectly, yeah.
Well, I the other thing, the new Morbius, he wears just like an all leather, like trussled up.
Is that what it is? I haven't seen it.
He's got the same outfit as Edward Scissorhand, basically, and still.
Oh, really?
A nice, like kind of.
So it's like a Cenobite kind of black leather kind of look.
Yeah, but even that, it's like I'm a scientist, and it's like I just hope he doesn't. Like that's a hard transition. Like I'm a vampire now. Got to change my outfit. I got to go shopping. Or secretly, this is what he wear at night, and just be like, it's so good not to be in my lab coat. I don't know how you make that transition.
Yeah, I don't remember from the comic books if there was an explanation of why. I think there was a reason why he wore that thing.
Really?
But I'm not sure.
Right.
Because it showed off.
Because it looks cool. I still love that original. That whole 70s era of Marvel monsters was just. Yeah. I love that so much.
Me too.
Even if they tried to get away with that costume.
Blood cocaine, Fred. Nice.
Blood cocaine, yes.
Nice one.
Yeah. Right. Larry wants us to stop talking about this.
Well, no, because this is. I mean, we could do a whole episode of Blade. But I want to kind of get to some other drug movies. Because I know.
Sure. Okay.
So Matt, how about for you?
Well, I love this movie. I know James loves this movie, and I think that there is a drug in this movie that works really well as a drug and as a comedic device. And that would be the orb in the Woody Allen science fiction film Sleeper.
Yeah.
Now, you have seen this, yes, Fred?
Yes.
Do you like the movie?
Yeah, of course. Oh,
Thank you. I want to try an orb myself.
I mean, this is back in the early Woody Allen days.
Yes, it's the early funny movies, as he describes them.
Before the interiors stuff.
Way before Annie Hall.
And it's silly and
it's maybe my single favorite Woody Allen movie, I think.
It might be mine
Bananas.
Too. Yes.
So
Bananas is really funny, but
Woody Allen is this guy who
he is Miles Monroe.
And he
is a jazz musician.
Yes.
And he is the owner of the Happy Carrot health food store. And he gets put in suspended animation. And 200 years later, he is revived by this group of revolutionaries, I guess you would say, who want to overthrow their police state government.
Right.
So immediately, once he's thawed out, he's on his own. and he's trying to just survive, and he ends up to, elude the authorities. There are these androids, these robots that are like servants that you can buy, and they have a really cool design.
They do.
They have these white faces with silver heads, and they wear tuxes, and they can be your butler, they can be your cook.
Don't they have a weird mouth?
They do, yes. They have like a little what would be that? It's like a little speaker.
Yeah, voice
a
box.
little voice box.
Yeah, a little voice box
Instead of a mouth.
Yeah. And so he's on the run. He gets into this truck that is hauling a bunch of these robots. And he knows that the truck is going to be stopped at some point. So he takes the clothes off of one and gets some of the stuff from an android, and he somehow manages to color his face too, and so you the first shot is one of these security guards looks in the back, and you see all these androids, and then you see this Woody Allen version, and he's got the little speaker voice box thing in his mouth. And he's wearing glasses, of course, still.
His hair's kind of like sticking out.
It's like a spaghetti colander, it looks like.
Yeah. And he's just, and he's got this real nervous look on his face. And so he gets delivered to Diane Keaton's house, who is this kind of vacant socialite.
Right.
And she's having a party, and she's invited all these people over. And he's pretending to be this android who's doing all the stuff at the party. And of course, he's ruining everything. He's ruining the food. He tries to make pudding, and it turns into like a blob that's attacking him. And it's really great. But then it's the time of the party when, in our time, somebody would take out a bong. Well, in this time and at this party, they take out the orb, which is this silver ball. And they pass it from person to person. And each person that rubs it gets
just by holding it.
Yeah, and they just start laughing. And since he's an android, or they think he's an android, he's the one who is delivering the orb to each person.
He's passing it back.
And so normally, of course, an android wouldn't be affected by this, but every time he gets passed back the orb, he just gets another dose. Mm-hmm. And he's getting more and more wasted till like the last person that wants to get the orb, he won't give it to him.
He bogarts it.
Yeah, he bogarts it, right. And he even raises his hand like he's going to slap the person.
It's so funny.
It's so fucking funny.
So great.
Yeah. And then he just goes berserk, and he grabs one of the party goers and pulls out his little mouthpiece and tries to like give her a hickey.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
It's
God.
So
I just love that. And
I love the idea that it's just this vibrating object too, that you can get high from just sensory touching,
Yeah.
It's a cool idea, actually.
Yeah. And you don't, it's one of those things too that you don't have to really explain at all.
Right. You know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And
wasn't it like extreme pleasure? Like also like that was the
it's
thing
kind of
too?
euphoria. It's like,
well, that's it. Well, there's also a different thing in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Which is they don't have this
sex.
Society doesn't have sex in the normal way anymore.
Right. Kind of like Barbarella. They don't have normal
Kind of like
sex.
Barbarella,
Yeah,
right.
They take pills.
Yeah, in Barbarella, which is on my list too, where David Hemmings and Barbarella, initially before she lands on this planet in Barbarella, she also would have sex using these pills, these sex pills. She gets turned on to regular sex on this planet, and then she runs
barbaric guy.
Yeah, but she runs into. But then like David Hemmings, who is one of the leaders of the resistance in Barbarella, Dildano. And they have sex with the pill sex, because he's had these pills forever and he's always wanted to do it.
Right.
And there's this great scene where their hair is, curling and it's kind of in fast motion. But
great.
But yeah, I mean, that's a nice companion piece with Sleeper.
Yeah.
I love that. And then there's a point where the authorities get a hold of Miles, they wipe his brain, and now he's just this docile, member of the community. And Diane Keaton finds him and wants to rescue him. And at this point now, he's got an orb that is like the size of a medicine ball. I think I'm with you guys. I think that might be my favorite Woody Allen
It's
movie.
just so perfect,
Yeah.
and it's actually works as a good sci-fi movie too. Like
Yes, it does.
the dystopian world he creates is actually well written, like it's well thought out. It's good.
Yeah. And and even though I love, and Fred, you brought up Bananas, which some
I
of
love
the
that,
greatest film jokes are in that movie. There's so many good gags in that movie.
Yeah,
And I would say that's maybe second for me.
yeah.
But
And-
I think as a screenplay, Sleeper works better.
Sleeper also works as a great slapstick film because there's so
Yes.
much physical humor in it.
Yeah,
And
some
at
of the best physical sight gags ever.
And at
Yes.
the same time, Woody Allen was also just getting like really sophisticated as
Yeah.
an intellectual
As a
comedian
filmmaker,
and
too, yeah.
So it's a
So
nice
that-
mix between the two.
Yeah.
So it's
You
like
can see
half
the Marx
Woody Allen
Brothers
film. I was just about to say, right. It's like half Woody Allen, half Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Buster,
yeah.
Buster Keaton.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a fun comedy. So we brought up some serious ones and some comedies. How about something from animation? Now, this has bugged me for years.
Uh-oh.
Okay. And to me, it's clearly there's drug use in this film. And I'm talking about the 1951 Walt Disney classic, Alice in Wonderland. Now, if we all remember the movie that follows the story by Lewis Carroll about this little girl, Alice, who has this dream, and she follows a rabbit down a hole into a fantastic yet ridiculous world. That world bugs me so much because it is so
Why?
ridiculous. Well, one of the characters
Uh-oh.
one of the characters is a
Oh, my.
caterpillar. The caterpillar with
Right.
his, you remember, and he has this large, and he's sitting on this giant mushroom.
Yeah.
And what he's doing is he's got this European-looking bong smoking.
Right.
And he's not making any sense whatsoever. Where Alice tries to ask like logical questions, and he goes, I mean, the funny thing is the caterpillar kind of looks a little like Matt, I think, as he's talking.
Thank you very much.
And he says, "Who are you?
That's me.
I don't know."
Welcome to Monster Mine.
But the thing that bugs me, it's not like if it's a regular. No, let me talk now. If
Okay.
it's not just a regular cigarette, it's affecting his mind because he's not making any sense. He's, who are you? And she said, "Well, I'm Alice," and he goes, "I don't know you." And it's
That
so
makes
frustrating.
sense. He doesn't know her.
No, well, it's frustrating because it's almost like he's letting this drug, this stuff that he's inhaling, just totally affect his mind, and she's trying to
Kind of the
like,
point, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying. Alice responds to all his questions, but it's as if his mind is not focused. And so it's like I'm just not a fan of that caterpillar, but that bugs
Because he's
me.
having a good time?
No, but he's not like on the mushroom dancing. He's like, whatever.
He's having his own kind of fun.
No, you
He's
call
also
it fun.
Kind of
It's
the
not-
hero, isn't he? Doesn't he do something at the end?
Well, he vanishes and he like puffs so much smoke. I'm just saying that in my interpretation, as you watch it, it's a caterpillar in a Disney movie, and he's getting high, and he's not
Oof.
making any sense.
A lot of issues. You know what? Look, Fred.
And the caterpillar is even shaped like a doobie.
Hey, you know what, Doobie? That's nice.
Now, look, there's
Jesus
all
is
kinds-
just all right with me.
Now, look,
All right,
there's all kinds of funky drug references in the movie. For example,
Okay.
the caterpillar says, "Eat the mushroom,"
Right, okay.
And it's supposed to make
Got
her
it.
big or make her small. And there are the biscuits that say, "Eat me." But you
Right,
know,
right.
Sexual.
this. I mean,
Oh.
there's a great Disney dark ride where you go on and it goes.
I love that ride.
Oh yeah.
And that is fun. That is neat.
But there was also a big discussion at one point that the Mad Hatter had mercury poisoning. Like he was actually supposed to be like Hatters,
Like genuinely mad.
because they would affect their mind. They played mercury, so like it's a drug reference, but it's all. I mean, it's.
I
people
don't know
also
this.
watch it.
Please tell me. So why would the Mad Hatter have mercury poison? From
Hatters
where?
used to
From
use
what?
mercury to smooth out the hats and get all.
Is
the
that
stuff.
right? I did not know this.
Oh,
And I think that's where it's
interesting.
from. If memory serves, I mean, if I'm
That's
wrong,
interesting. Yeah.
So you gonna talk shit about someone who has mercury poisoning now? Go ahead, Larry. Go ahead.
About a man just trying to have a birthday before he dies.
I'm just saying it was a
God
scene.
forbid a little tea before walking into the light.
It bugged me as a kid. It bugs me as an adult. Even when my
But why does it bug you?
It bugs me because she's trying to respond to his questions, and he's like so in his like billowy, smoke-filled high world that he doesn't really respond to her. He doesn't really answer her questions, and he doesn't. She
works it out at the end.
No. She basically, he says, "Eat a mushroom." So it's like
I feel like this triggered something in you.
Look. This is very clear. You like to hang out with caterpillars that make no sense whatsoever.
I would absolutely hang out with a caterpillar that made no sense. Most of them don't. I go out in the garden sometimes, and oh man, you can't get a straight answer from those things.
Maybe you and Sean should get together, have your little reefer thing, and go, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing?"
Wow. Who invited the narc?
So, 1951, Alice in Wonderland from Disney.
That's a great movie. I love that. I have a re-release one-sheet poster from that.
Really?
And it was the re-release that they did in the 60s.
Yeah.
That was, almost like a black light poster is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And it's funny, that film, when it was re-released, and Fantasia, when they released, the posters were very psychedelic,
that's correct. Yes.
And people went, these are adults who went using different substances so they could just trip out while watching the movie.
Yeah.
And Disney made a lot of money on Alice in Wonderland and Fantasia when they were re-released in the 60s.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I really do. That's one of my favorite Disney movies.
In that vein, Larry, I will say the Cheshire Cat used to drive me insane.
Yes. His head? Where's his body go?
It's annoying. No, not that he disappeared. But just
the smile?
Oh, just kind of a dick. I remember
he's a little bit of a dick. Yeah.
Like everybody's kind of a dick to her. And I'm like,
you're absolutely right. I think that's another reason why I didn't like the movies. Everyone was a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
But okay. Just coming at this from a drug standpoint, were they really being dicks, or were they really just trying to get her, throw her off kilter a little bit so she can just go along with this?
No one cared. And the flowers
stop thinking so linear.
No, the flowers are actually kind of mean. They do that do da 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 in the tulips. They seem like they're nice, but they chastise her. You're an ugly flower. At the end, they kind of kick her out. She's
she is an ugly flower.
She is not an ugly flower.
You shut your mouth, Matt Weinhold. You shut your mouth. She's beautiful.
Okay. I think the listeners get it. 1951, Alice in Wonderland.
What? You are no fun to trip with at all, man. You're like, all of a sudden a fucking iron get smart door comes down on every topic we're having fun with.
I'm just sure the listeners go, Larry, that's nice, and I'd like to find out what Sean has to say. That's all.
Yeah, Sean.
Okay, well,
what do you think of the flowers?
No,
I love the flowers. Okay, well, this one obviously is a great drug movie. It's surreal, it's hallucinogenic, and it's 1980 Ken Russell's Altered States.
One of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, William Hurt experimenting with sensory deprivation and different hallucinatory drugs, and he starts having these images and visions and dreams that he believes are like genetic memories, and he starts regressing, and he's experimenting with all these different drugs.
He gets drugs. He gets this special drug,
right,
from a Mexican tribe called the Hinchi,
right,
which is like a peyote drug that also contains his own blood,
right.
And once he takes that stuff, and then look, okay, drug takers out there, I think you're going to be along with me on this. And that is, what do we know? What we know is that you never mix Hinchi drugs with an isolation tank. Right? And because what happens?
Right.
You devolve into an ape, man.
Yeah. Because the idea is he experimented this in the 60s, and he had this crazy experience, and now he gets back into it, because he's like this professor now, and he's run his course of his career.
Yeah, he's got kind of a rocky marriage with Blair Brown.
Yeah, so he wants to start doing this again, and it does eventually. Literally, he starts to change physically as well.
Physically,
and it's, I believe, if not the first, one of the first films to use those bladder effects in the skin that Dick Smith created. And
is that right? Really?
Yeah, that I think the very first time you see it, he's like at his desk, he's running his arms up.
That's
his desk,
right.
And you just see that the skin just like wave. It's like, whoa.
Oh man, I love that. I love that.
It's great. And also that sequence where he's like, he kind of can't control his changing, and he's like in a hallway, hitting the hallway back and forth, and he's kind of, he's almost glowing in this. I can't even describe the effect, but it's so effective.
It's like later used in
flesh.
Later used in the AHA video of "Take on Me."
Yeah, kind of.
Which I love.
It's but
me too.
Altered States is a great movie then, because it's really about a character totally exploring his mental state with the help of drugs. I mean, it's him going over the edge with it.
No, and this is from a Paddy Chayefsky book, and it's unlike anything Chayefsky had ever done before.
Yes, and also
his only novel.
Right.
And also the subject matter totally fits the filmmaker Ken Russell, who is known for his hallucinatory, over-the-top movies. And he's the perfect fit for this script.
And yet, apparently, according to the internet, Chayefsky actually took his name or changed his name in the credits.
I think I do remember that. You're right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how different it is from his, but like
it bummed him out.
but it's really good. It's not dated too much either. It's 1980.
I love it every time.
Really well. Acting is superb. Blair Brown, Bob Balaban, Charles Hayde, Drew Barrymore. It's really good.
I agree with you that Ken Russell was the perfect person to do this movie. So the imagery in this is so memorable and so disturbing and weird. And there's a lot of, strange religious imagery. And there's like a goat with a bunch of eyes and like all this crazy stuff. And I love it so much. And Ken Russell, just as a director, I would almost want to do an episode on Ken Russell.
Yeah, really.
Because, I mean, I just recently saw Tommy again.
Oh, yeah.
And what that guy comes up with, and even in his terrible movies, and there are some terrible movies, but even in those movies, I always appreciate the attempt. What he's going for.
He's always completely original. I mean, I love Lair of the White Worm too.
I love it.
Nutso movie. I love it.
Crazy, but fun. And you always know that you're going to get a visually stunning film.
Yep.
Crimes of Passion.
Oh,
I haven't seen that one in. I haven't seen that one in ages. Is that
a pretty nuts? Yeah,
Anthony Perkins.
Yeah.
Does that hold up at all?
Oh God, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it since it came out. That's one I'd like to revisit. Yeah.
I think we need to do that. We need to do that. Yeah.
It might actually play better now than it did.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sean, that's a nice one. Altered States. I like that.
I saw that movie in the theater on acid.
Me too. Really?
Really?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Didn't that mess you up?
Well, I saw it first not on acid, and then I told my friend Patrick Galloway about this. And then we were like, we have to go see this on acid. So we both dropped acid and went and saw it.
That's
and it was terrific. It was great.
The only thing, if I was gonna I do something like that, if I was gonna take some drugs, I'd want to like advance, up the evolutionary scale. I don't want to regress. I don't want to turn into like caveman guy. I want to become like more, brilliant six-finger dude.
That's an interesting observation, actually, Larry, because it is strange that that's what happens to him is that he devolves. In fact, at the end of Altered States, when he becomes that mass, I think that's supposed to be like this conscious mass of like primordial matter.
Yeah.
Right.
When he's going through the change and he keeps flashing like in and out of our reality, that if he didn't somehow make a human connection to Blair Brown, that he would be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes, a human connection.
Yeah. And I love that idea. It's very Akira in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Nice one, Sean. Nice one.
Cool.
James, you got one for us?
Yeah, we cannot leave out the substance, the all-powerful substance melange, which is found only on the planet Arrakis,
That's right.
otherwise known as Dune from the novels.
Absolutely.
Melange is pretty much the driving force, or the desire to obtain it is the driving force behind the Dune saga.
Right, the
Because
spice.
this is the
He who
spice.
controls the spice controls the universe.
Yes. Kenneth Macmillan, Baron Harkonnen. Melange extends life. It enhances mental abilities, and it even allows those who take it to navigate into space.
Right.
So whoever controls it controls the universe. And it also has side effects, like they rotoscope your eyes blue, apparently, if you're in the David Lynch movie with Kyle MacLachlan and Sean Young. And you can have telepathic conversations.
Right.
But certainly a very, very potent and it's really the center of the story, the center of the Dune saga.
Yeah, and
But
it
all
comes
hinges around that. Yeah.
and it comes from what?
Worm?
The sandworms.
The sandworms.
not?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Their poop?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're poop.
Doesn't it would make sense.
Wait, did I miss something? It come from
I remember there was these giant
giant
litter boxes that they'd have to sift through.
Yeah, right.
Called the desert.
It's the poop from the worms.
I don't think it's not
Am
the
I on
poop. It's something
track?
else. It's something something that comes from their body. I forget
It's
exactly.
like their mucus or something.
Something
or
like that, yes.
Yeah.
That's joyous, Matt. That's great.
What I like about melange is that there are these levels of what it can do to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can live a little longer. You're a little stronger. Your awareness is higher. And again, you have prescience. You can see the future.
Yeah.
And that's what helps the Space Guild navigators. They're able to see through space-time and navigate through space. But what I love about the navigators is that they're a humanoid creature that has been put in this environment that's just like a tank filled with this spice gas.
Right.
And just over a long period of time, it just completely changes your body into these strange creatures. And my favorite version of that is from the David Lynch film. I love those.
I mean, I know we've talked about it before. Friends of mine who read the actual book did not like the movie, the David Lynch movie.
Yeah, I was with them.
I had never read the book, and the film, I mean, I really enjoyed it.
It's one of the few times, I read it as a kid. It was before, any real, there was no Star Wars novel.
Right.
Where you'd see something you read, there was no comic book movies where you'd go
right.
I know what's gonna happen. And I remember, being super excited as to how, I was just a kid leaning over going that's the spice, you'll see it's very important, the novel here, the nerd before nerds. But I remember that's what, I can see where people be because there were a couple things that were different and interpretations and stuff like that, but it was just exciting to see.
Yeah, it was a unique take
read on the screen. It hadn't been done.
Right.
We've talked about this before, but I really do think that movie deserves more credit because it's such a difficult thing to bring to the screen.
Right.
It's such
in a one movie.
Right. Exactly. Right. It's such a hard story to condense.
Yeah.
And I think considering that, looking at it years later, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. Yeah, no, they drastically trimmed down that story. But I mean, just for the design of that movie alone.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
And Sting
I'm really
is
curious to see.
Sting is great.
Yeah, Sting's really good. I'm really curious to see what the new one's going to be from the director of Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. I mean, if anybody can maybe do it justice to bring it back again in a new version, I think he could do it. So,
yeah,
the action figures are already out.
Yeah, I know.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
welcome to 2021, ladies.
But it's COVID. all the merchandise came out for all these movies, and all the movies are being held back. So it's just like,
I know,
like
it's
Black
weird.
Widow, like,
Yeah.
they sold their merchandise a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But interesting enough, real quick on the melange spice, that inspired a drug in Star Wars called spice that has been throughout the whole. You guys know about that?
No.
I don't.
Oh, spice.
Is that what
major
Han
Star Wars
Solo?
drugs.
Is that what Han Solo was smuggling?
Mm-hmm. He was a spice runner.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And Lucas just says it's from he loved it and totally inspired by Dune.
Right.
There you
Inspired or ripped off.
Uh-huh.
Hey, what about that mashup, huh?
go. Star Wars and Dune.
Yeah, you could make that happen. I think those
that'd be
two.
interesting.
I think those two universes would work well together, as
Like
opposed to say,
like
Star Trek or
but like
It
if
would
the
be-
Empire, would get a hold of spice, and try to control everybody with that.
yeah.
That
You
could be really
guys-
interesting.
What are you talking about? You guys, you're
Larry,
mixing,
it's called imagination.
No, you're
What's your
mixing,
okay? All right.
mixing
What's
Dune? That's like, oh, let's just take Black Hole and mix it with Buck Rogers or something.
But
You have heard of mashups, right? Like Planet of the Apes meets Star Trek and all that.
Crossover,
Like really
crossover.
cool
Yeah,
crossover. We did an episode, if you remember, if you listen to the show, Larry, we did an episode called
You're right.
Crossover.
You're right, Sean. I should listen to the show more often.
So it's called
Fred?
It's called
Just step away.
fanciful imagination.
I think you want to join that.
If
Close his computer.
And
Some
you know-
worlds need to stay in their world.
Talking about a great product for a cannabis store. If you have something called melange.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
yeah.
In addition to
all the now that
it's-
now you
it's
can
pronounced
get
Mulan.
weed, legally.
Yeah.
Why aren't people taking advantage of all these cool sci-fi? And
wouldn't you
horror
buy
references?
wouldn't you buy one called Soylent Green?
Of course, yeah. Where's that? Where's
I want that to
where's-
be that should be a cereal.
Look,
That
not,
should be
not,
an edible. An
Soylent
edible.
Green. Is
not
on a little,
everyone's like you willing to try. Hey, let's try the newest reefer here.
Why not?
okay,
Larry,
Grandpa.
it's 2021.
All right.
What better
know-
time to frickin'
Hey,
You know what's so crazy? It's all the same reefer. It's just different flavors. Like it's just like
right?
Okay, well,
I
Jake
think-
just gave us Dune.
Wait a minute. Hey, I'm not done yet. Hey, go back to your dare meeting.
My
Okay.
mushroom. Should I go
Yeah.
back to my mushroom?
Yes. No, I think it would be great to have a drug that you could actually drive better on. And that would be melange.
or Adderall.
Well, of course, duh. But if you had melange, if it can allow guild navigators to go through space, I could get from, say, I don't know, Santa Monica to the San Fernando Valley in probably 7 minutes. Just a little melange.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. Couple gateways, done.
And
I'm at my audition.
And instead of points being taken off your license, you get a discount on your insurance.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Wow, my head is just exploding.
And chicks
I
with
wish
the
that was
eyes.
the case.
Well, James, thank you for bringing up Dune. That's
Thank
a
you.
good one.
There
Melange.
you go.
Okay. Fred, how about you? Do you have another drug in a movie or show or something?
I do. And this is actually a comic book, movie, and cartoon if you want. Venom from Bane.
Oh,
Oh,
From
yeah.
the Batman series.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And he needs it to, like, I don't know if you know the character of Bane from the comic books. He would
Yeah.
like,
Right?
it's
Yes.
classic in all of them. He fills himself with this stuff, Venom, and it makes him giant and badass and stronger.
That's right.
What's great about it is it had shown its face earlier with, I think it was created by Cord Industries. They did something. One of his things, I think it was Ted Cord did it, or was
Okay.
it? No, it was Ted Knight, the Miraclo, the Our Man.
Our Man. Yes,
He
right.
kind of
Okay.
made this drug that eventually became Venom, and it was getting out there. And there's a whole series where Batman gets addicted to it to try to overcome it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which he does with all the drugs. Like that's what I think he's done it before, like fear gas, whatever the drug is. He's like, well, I got to do all this shit. to get used to it.
I guess I gotta try it.
Right.
So like, like, all right, hey, where's Batman been for 2 weeks? You know, crime is really getting
Fighting
out of hand.
crime.
Yeah.
I gotta
He's
fucking
got like Chinese takeouts littered all over the Bat Cave.
just in his underwear.
Yeah, the Batman cave.
Yeah.
Just a lot of beanbag chairs and shag carpet. And, yeah.
Lava lamps.
Yeah.
But what's great about this is like the version that he manipulated, like it makes him bigger, and people who take it, like there are other bad guys who take it, but when the effects wear off, you're really small and weak, and it like leaves you like depleted, like no
like weaker.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Than you started, and like, you know, scrawnier than you started, like eats away at you. And so that's always been the weird thing about Bane, is he's always been a big dude, and then a couple times they've done him where it affected him, and then he overcame it, and then
Right.
And his whole story, the story of him is great, and I recommend really getting into that character because it's done really well the first part, and then
He wasn't really represented that well in the movies, though. Huh?
No.
Oh my gosh, that first one that he was in,
Yeah.
Poison Ivy, it was like so. I was in tears, and then
But the Christopher Nolan one, where you can't understand what he's saying half the time, right?
and it's Tom Hardy, who's like 5'3" or something, you know, like, and it's like like if you got The Rock to play him, I'd be like, you're halfway there. You're halfway, you know, like,
Right.
And it's just like, I'm also Scottish, some weird, you know,
Yeah, it's like
he's a weird Presca, he's Latin, go the other way, and like,
yeah,
Wow.
but yeah,
What a mess that fucking thing is.
yeah.
Yeah.
such a mess. But and then what was great about it is so they've continued to this drug through Batman Beyond, where
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, where athletes will take them called slappers, and they give you like a jolt of strength and energy and stuff like that. And it's like an illegal drug there, like they're patches. And then there's one bad guy who does a bunch and he fights Batman Beyond. But like, I just love that they put it through the entire continuity.
Right.
And it's a fun thing. And then it has to be like, there's a whole thing about it where it has to be specifically put into done right in the cortex of your neck is why he has it there.
Right.
And
Well, and just a real quick reference again to Matt, Compound V in The Boys.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Compound V is almost the same thing.
Right.
kinda,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And
It does different things to you as far as your powers, but
depending, right? Yeah.
But like A-Train, you can like take too much of it, you get fucking hooked and all fucked up, man.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away anything from that series because it's such a joy.
It's such a
It's
great
fantastic.
series. Yeah.
But yeah, you find within the series you find out more about Compound V.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
In the comic book, Compound V, the boys take it. They each take a little bit. And that's why Huey hates Butcher so much, is he secretly gave it to him. He's like, to make him stronger and stuff like that. And that's why Butcher is a little more juicy and can take a few more hits from these guys.
Cool.
I think that would have worked in the series.
Should have. I still can.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was just like a little bit or whatever, just enough to not screw you up. But yeah.
Cool.
So that was it. Venom.
I love it.
Cool.
I love it a lot.
Well, back in your corner, Matt, you got another drug one for us?
Okay, well, I would not be the Deep Space Nine fan that I am without mentioning Ketracel White. Ketracel White, or the White, as it's called in the show, is a narcotic taken by the Jem'Hadar. Now, the Jem'Hadar are this genetically created race who are born addicted to the White. And the Jem'Hadar are these foot soldiers of the Founders, and they are a shape-shifting alien race from the Gamma Quadrant, who are on the other side of this wormhole that's right outside of Deep Space Nine. Okay, and Odo from the show is actually of the same race as the Founders. And so there's also another genetically altered race called the Vorta, and the most famous member of the Vorta, we've had him on our show. That would be Jeffrey Combs, who played Wei Yun. And the Vorta are like these middle management aliens, and they're the ones who directly interact with the Jem'Hadar. And the Jem'Hadar are these strong soldiers. You know, they know no fear, but they need this drug. And if they don't get it, there are some bad things that can happen. They could suffer these withdrawals that include pain and anxiety and mental control. And they can do this thing where they can become invisible and they lose that ability. And if they don't get the drug over a period of time, they'll go into this homicidal insanity and they'll kill their enemies, they'll kill their allies, and they'll eventually just turn on each other. And what I love about the Jem'Hadar and the whole Ketracel White thing is that the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar both look at the founders as if they're gods. So when the Jem'Hadar are getting the drug, they get it from the Vorta, and there's like a little ceremony that takes place. So the Vorta will say, first, can you vouch for the loyalty of your men? And then the Jem'Hadar guy will say, we pledge our loyalty to the founders from now until death. And then the Vorta says, then receive this reward from the founders. May it keep you strong. And they've got to do this. And now as the series goes on, sometimes, they don't have time for that. So they just get the drug. But what I love too is that in the design of the Jem'Hadar soldiers, you'll see as part of their uniform or their armor, there's like a tube that goes from their armor into their neck. And in the early episodes, it was just this like dark tube. But as the series went on, it became clear. And so you could see the white like bubbling through this tube. And it was really cool. And I just love the idea that you've got this race of soldiers that have been genetically created to be born addicted to a drug as a way of controlling them. Now, the flaw in the plan, obviously, is if they don't get it, then they become maniacs and you can't control them. But I love the Jem'Hadar. And if you guys haven't seen Deep Space Nine, or if you've avoided it and you've watched all the other Star Trek shows, you really need to revisit this show or visit it for the first time because it's super fun.
You'd say you would rather have me watch Deep Space Nine before Doctor Who, right? Yeah.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Okay.
One is a little bit more straight sci-fi.
Apple.
Doctor Who has
more orange.
Yeah, it's a little more of a lighter,
sometimes
fruity.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean,
fanciful kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, although the more modern Doctor Who's have
play it a little more straight. Yes.
Okay.
But there's I'd say just overall, there's a different vibe to Doctor Who than Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine gets into a giant war between the founders and the Federation, and Deep Space Nine and Captain Sisko and the Bajorans are caught right in the middle. And if you're a Star Wars fan, for example, and you really like space battles.
I do.
Star Trek Deep Space Nine is the shit. I mean, some of the best space battles I've ever seen, especially on a TV show, when they get into the big battles in this war that they're having, there are some scenes where you see like almost every type of Federation ship shooting at another ship, and you got the Jem'Hadar ships, and then you've got the Klingon ships that are also part of this war, and every different design of the Klingon ship. You got the Bird of Preys and the cruisers, and it is so much fun. So yeah, I think you need to check this out.
I know you're a big seller of Deep Space Nine. I know, and I've got to do that. I've got to watch it. But since you're on the Star Trek trip,
good, go.
Why don't I throw this out? Maybe not as, intricate as yours and more simplistic would be, imagine taking a drug that just makes you more beautiful. And I'm talking about the 1966 classic Star Trek episode, Mud's Women.
Yes.
Now, for someone who may not be familiar with classic Star Trek from 1966, imagine that Kirk and Spock, they come across this ship that has Harry Mudd, and he has these three beautiful women on board. Now, what is it about these women there? As they walk on the ship, all the guys are all, oh, wow, we're all sweating. We're all, because they walk by and they just have this magical thing about it.
Right.
Well, these three beautiful women are actually taking the Venus drug. Ooh. This drug, which supposedly not only gives you more of what you have already, but it also kind of it puts out little feelers and makes males all kind of
like a pheromone kind of thing, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it's a neat episode because the character of Harry Mudd is played by Roger C. Carmel, and he is just wonderful. He's such a great character actor that he's actually brought back for another episode because he's so good. But what we learn is that, that he's trying to sell off these women to minors to get this big profit, and it's all a scam because these women aren't really that beautiful. They're all kind of a little old and crinkly, but they use the drug. However, when one of the women has this issue and there's this moment where she thinks she takes this drug and all of a sudden she just turns out beautiful, and they're saying, Captain Kirk says, that's really colored gelatin, and it's like the beauty in yourself is what.
And then she gets ugly again.
It's like horseshit.
Yeah, how does that work again? So she just wills herself to be beautiful.
It's kind
she
of
believes
like,
in herself.
Yes, it's like, Sean, there are times when I'm feeling like a globulous glob of mush, but
I like globulous.
Then you eat some Jello and you feel better.
Yeah, and then then there are times when after I've gone for a big walk and I feel like, I'm muscular and I'm feeling, good looking and stuff. So maybe maybe there's some truth to that, but I love the concept of the Venus drug making.
Right. And I think after doing that episode, Roger C. Carmel ended up giving that drug to Eve Arden and Kate Ballard in The Mothers-in-Law. That made them feel better. But then they realized but then they realized they were beautiful as they are and just accept it. So.
Very funny.
That was the crossover episode.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
That's great.
I want to see that. Larry, I have a question. Do you like that episode?
It's one of those episodes that when I first saw it, I really wasn't a big fan because I want a space alien monster. But I do grow to like it. I have grown. I
like the other Harry Mudd episode much better.
Much better.
Much more fun.
I agree with you, Sean. I do too. But it's one of those things where, over a period of time, it's still classic Star Trek, and I still get warm and fuzzy when I watch it.
It doesn't hold up. I think it's ridiculous.
Well,
and then the thing at the end where all of a sudden she's got makeup on. Yes. Because she believes in herself.
Well, not only that, but photographed with that special filter that they use for all the actresses in that show had that special filter.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Are you just? I'm giving an example of a drug in a film, and are you just shooting this down?
No, we're not. We're just.
It's the one great example of a drug episode from Star Trek.
Yeah.
In the original series.
I think it's a great choice, but now. Just as a side note,
I would much rather watch Arena or Balance, or Doomsday Machine. I'd rather watch those. But as I know that our good friend James received a Blu-ray disc set.
Yeah, have you got to that one yet? Have you got to Mudd's Women yet?
Yeah,
not yet.
Okay, yeah, no. It's pretty sexist. Episode
it really is,
and it's not my favorite. It's super dated. Although I did learn that you can clean pans by putting them in a sandstorm.
That's something
I did learn that.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
So thank you.
What did you learn from that episode, Fred?
Women will always lie to you.
Now, we're just joking here for all the ladies listening to
both of you.
So, Sean, give us another one. Get us out of this episode here.
Okay, this one is kind of an interesting one. I like this movie. I kind of like it more every time I see it. This is from 1981, directed by Peter Hyams, Outland.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Outland's a cool kind of action sci-fi movie. It's Sean Connery. He's a federal marshal, and he travels to this mining colony on one of Jupiter's moons. And the reason he's going there is because there's a problem, because there's this whole huge mining operation going on there, run by Peter Boyle. And basically, there's been a lot of accidents and problems. And what he uncovers is that there is a amphetamine type drug that's being given to the miners so that they can work, kind of like you were talking about with Deep Space Nine, Matt, like how this drug enhances their abilities to work harder in the mines,
Right,
keep up
right.
their stamina.
Yeah.
Because like it's all about the money, man. They got to mine this stuff, But the problem is it has horrible side effects and they go crazy. This is all on the moon, it's outer space, so they're mining in the vacuum of space, and so they have these whole big spacesuits on, kind of like the spacesuits in Alien, kind of like the big, kind of cool looking spacesuits. But they start feeling like, they got things crawling around inside their spacesuits. They get claustrophobic and they're going crazy. So the guy, takes off his helmet in the vacuum of space and blows up, So that's the drug. That's the issue. And so Sean Connery is there to uncover that. And, Peter Boyle's behind this. It's a whole conspiracy. And eventually it becomes, Boyle sends out his henchmen and guys to go after Connery to shut him up. It's kind of like a high noon in space.
Well, they call it high noon in space.
Yeah.
But it's more of like a cop drug thing, really.
Kinda,
more
yeah.
than,
Yeah.
a Western to me. It feels more like
That's true. Yeah.
an episode of some sort of crime show than it.
Right.
It feels like a Western to me.
It's only high noon in space because nobody seems interested in helping him, and he's sort of on his own.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. But it's got a good cast. James B. Sicking, Francis Sternhagen, John Ratzenberger.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, and it still holds up pretty good. Pretty good effects.
I think I like it more now.
Yeah, I don't know if it did well when it came out, but it kind of was promoted maybe, I don't know, it had that kind of alien look to it. Just
dirty
the ships and it was that
dirty
was on,
feature.
Yeah, that dirty, grungy sci-fi wave that was going on in the late 70s, early 80s. But I like it a lot. I think it's pretty cool. And Connery's great. He's a perfect choice for it, and it's good. It's a good film.
It's got a good Jerry Goldsmith score.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice one, Sean. James?
Well, you might remember that back in the 80s that Nancy Reagan had a big campaign, Just Say No.
Oh, yeah.
I
Just Say
remember
No to Drugs.
I remember.
And then in 1990, there was a big Saturday morning, basically what amounted to a half-hour PSA called Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue.
Oh my God.
I don't know
I
if you
vaguely
guys
remember that.
No, James, I don't know
Was
this.
it Hanna-Barbera?
It was actually executive produced by Roy Disney. But what it was that they incorporated all these different studio cartoon characters.
Almost like Roger Rabbit, kind of like
Roger Rabbit. You had Bugs and Daffy. You had the Muppet Babies, because this is 1990.
Okay.
You had Garfield. You had the Smurfs. You had Slimer from the real.
I gotta see it. I gotta watch it. I gotta find this now.
I don't know this.
Alvin and the Chipmunks and Alf from the animated Alf series.
Alf was big at one time.
And the story revolves around and Winnie the Pooh. And the story revolves around.
He's hooked on all that honey, so yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you love the
It was
stuff.
an intervention for that and the lasagna addiction.
You have this brother and sister, and the brother's a little bit older, and he's a teenager, and he's getting introduced. It's like he's going from marijuana to crack. And,
oh my God!
And the little sister is getting a little concerned, and the family's concerned, but it's the cartoon characters who kind of jump to the rescue. And
they drop an anvil on him, or like what?
No, they're very focused on this. They're very it's weird because they're cartoon characters, but they're dealing with an adult subject.
Wow.
And temptation is embodied by a cartoon character named Smoke, who's voiced by George C. Scott.
What?
No.
Yes. Now this whole thing, it's half an hour. The whole thing's on YouTube. So you can actually find it there, and it's kind of a trip, just so you can see these disparate 1990s cartoon characters interacting a little bit.
Is there a moment where George C. Scott's character Smoke goes, "When you stick your hands in a bunch of goo that used to be your friend's face, you know to stay off drugs"?
well, he's pro drug. He's symbolizing.
Sure, right. Wow.
Was it followed up by an animated anti-porn film?
Yeah.
James,
Yeah.
Also with George C. Scott.
Wow. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Okay. James, what's it called again?
Oh my God, that's my daughter.
Okay. What's it called?
Puffer and succotash.
Cartoon All-Stars?
Cartoon All-Stars to the rescue. And it got huge publicity back then. But it's been pretty much forgotten, you know.
I mean, that sounds so familiar. I know that title, so now I got to find it on YouTube.
Sounds glorious.
I know.
Check it out, yeah.
There's also a scene where like the female Smurf breaks open and it's Roy Scheider inside her. It's just fantastic.
It'd be nice, a cameo, a bug typewriter.
Yeah.
There's Sean joking away.
Yeah. Sometimes we like to have a laugh
Me, Larry,
on this show.
joking away.
Yeah.
And this
Keeping it
is
lively.
this is introduced by George and Barbara Bush.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Are they animated as well, or?
No, live action. But he's really reading from a teleprompter.
Even when you drew them,
So live action, semi-animated.
Look, you know, I know we're kind of joking and joshing and stuff, but you know, it is kind of nice.
Oh no, that's great.
You know,
That's
the
cool. They
It's
did
kind of
that.
nice. What?
They did something like that. Yeah.
The president and first lady were so into this, and it was so important that they wanted to get, you know, a bunch of animated characters, popular ones at the time, to help kids. You know,
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
What better way to fight the crack epidemic than with a fucking half-hour cartoon with Garfield?
a lot of crack addicts. Oh man, what a great cartoon!
Could have helped save a bunch of people, bunch of youngsters.
I don't know how much street violence was stopped.
I love
Hey,
it.
man, Bugs wouldn't like this.
Look, you guys, I cannot take my crack cocaine today
No.
on account of Garfield. Smart as fuck, right?
Yeah.
He went through it. That's why he just sits there all day in his own filth and crap. He was addicted.
Right.
I don't
Muppet babies are my boys.
Animal.
James, I have to tell you, I don't remember this at all. I mean, I remember the Nancy Reagan's whole, you know, Just Say No campaign and
Really?
her appearance on Different Strokes and stuff, but I don't
And
remember.
we all remember Stoned with Scott Baio, right? 1980.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They're like the after school special.
It was
where
like a TV movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, careful kids.
Good. That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
I don't know, Fred,
Fantastic.
if you can top that one, man, but
That's pretty good. I think that might be the winner so far.
That's the winner, yeah. But, Fred, do you have another drug movie?
Not as
there?
good as that.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up.
Give us both then.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. The first one would be from the movie Dread. Just because I actually love this. There's a Dread.
I like
called-
Dread.
It's an amazing movie, and
The newer one, the more recent
the new one,
Yeah,
Dread.
I've not seen that.
Dread is super fun.
Is
it's
it
like
really? Okay.
it is the
Yes.
same sort of feeling when you watch Blade. It's these guys go like, "Hey, let's just do this thing, do it really well." Like, and it is starring not Keith Urban, whatever the guy who in the
Yeah.
Boys,
Carl
Johnny
Urban.
never once takes off his helmet, which is, you know, like you sit there and go like, "Yeah, exactly." You know, like you know how like that was always the big problem with the Stallone one. Is like,
Yeah.
he's a big star, he's got to take it off. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
of course.
No.
And you
yeah,
have to have,
Stallone is in this one.
Yeah. It's
Right,
the
right.
movie Dread is very similar to the film The Raid,
It is the Raid with superheroes.
but it's still great.
But I think they should do that with all superhero movies. Like, find a movie that's amazing, just redo it exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Fred,
Yeah.
what's the drug in Dread?
It's called slow-mo, and it basically, the theory is everything moves in slow motion when you take it. It like goes down to 1% of its speed in your mind,
Oh,
which
wow.
it means your mind's moving really fast. So like, if you have a
Wait,
if
your
you
mind's
feel-
moving fast?
well, because everything slows down. The world doesn't really slow down.
So just for a second, Larry, to make a point of reference you understand, Star Trek Wink of an Eye.
Right.
Yes.
There you
Okay.
go.
Not quite that level, but that's the idea.
And,
Yes.
and it's like, you know,
Thank
you can.
you.
It's like whatever if you're feeling good and you do it, it makes it last forever. If you're feeling bad, it lasts forever. And it's like everything just moves in slow motion. And there's like, I think bad guys, they'll take it to like when they're getting shot because they can kind of dodge stuff better.
Mm.
And then, but everybody's on it and it's ruining. So he goes into this apartment complex, just like the Raid. It's
The Raid,
exactly
right?
the
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you find out that the drug dealer's on the top floor. She's Mama something or other. It's actually the lady from Game of Thrones. Headley? Is it Lena Headley?
Lena Headey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Lena
okay.
Headey.
And she is amazing as a bad guy. Like this is before she ever did Game of Thrones. So and I remember going like, she's just off the charts, really good as a bad guy. So they shut it down. He comes in to bust him. and they shut the complex down like a fortress, and he's got to stop her, and they're sending everybody to kill him floor by floor. And it's really well done. And the drug is like, what's great about it is the end, spoiler alert, he wins. He puts her on, like he makes her take the drug or something, or she takes her, and he throws her off of the
building
right when she takes it. So like, it's just her, basically to her, she's falling forever. And just,
Oh, that's cool.
That's
and it's just such a beautiful, like you kind of, it makes you see like, like the drug, and it sort of has a denouement come around on it.
Was it?
That's cool.
There's a similar drug in Logan's Run that the Cubs use called muscle. It's referred to in the film. In the book, you get a little bit better of an idea of what this stuff is. But if you look at Logan's Run, the Cubs in Cathedral have like a little gas mask thing that they're going to put on Logan before they're disrupted. And
that's right.
And so in the book, they explain it more. And I guess I'm assuming there was going to be a longer scene that they cut down. But yeah, muscle does the same thing. It's like wink of an eye. It slows everything down so you can move faster.
You're like hyper aware of everything around you.
Right. Yeah.
But this is more of a drug. Like they'll take it, you huff it like on a thing, and it leaves like a stain on your mouth, and you don't move. You can, but it's just you're just enjoying the moment is the whole point. But I think that, like they use it in that way once to show like that they can get away with it.
Cool.
And then
I like that.
That's great.
I have to see that movie. That movie. I don't know. Did that movie do well? Because it seemed like it kind of went really fast, and
no, but it's
too much promotion for it, and
it came out at a weird time. Promotion weird.
But I assume it's got to be better than the Stallone version.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's so well done. It was Marvel before. They was doing Marvel stuff before Marvel did it.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Okay.
I like it.
And I can't recommend it enough. And also watch The Raid. Like you should watch one and then
The Raid is. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where I thought, okay, these people are really fighting each other.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to die.
So there had to have been
scenes. Like,
there had to have been injuries.
It's insane.
I just, for weeks after watching it, I'd walk around going, Sinnow.
Yeah, that's an amazing film.
Yeah, one of the greatest action films of all time.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, it's not really a drug movie. I mean, I guess it is sort of, but like.
Yeah, but no, it's great though.
But that one
isn't that a drug den too? Like, aren't they both?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
True,
it's like, drugs are part of it. Yes.
And they literally lifted all of it, like from like cops that are bad, like you don't know they're bad until they turn on you.
I've read some stuff about this, the comparison between The Raid and Dread. And, I guess there's arguments for, we didn't know about this, but it's so similar.
And The Raid was a big hit, or it was well known.
And it was so close to the same time.
Yeah.
Well, it was like right after. I can't help but think that the guy watched The Raid and was like, that's it.
Let's just make this.
It was the first time I was like applauding stuff like that, going like, finally, somebody.
Yeah. It's like, it reminds me of James. What's the movie when they did Casino Royale? The new Casino Royale, that whole sequence of the running, chasing guy was kind of lifted from another popular movie like that did that, right?
Yeah, but I damn if I can remember. Yeah, there's a name for that kind of jumping off of walls.
Well, it's not parkour or whatever, right? I mean,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's parkour. But there was a movie or there's something that recently before Casino Royale totally exploited that, and they like kind of took that concept of that.
They ripped it off. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good one. What now? You said you had another one, Fred?
Yeah, you got to watch Brain Candy. Gleeman X is amazing.
Brain Candy.
Oh, Brain Candy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kids in the Hall. Love that movie.
So good.
That was, talk about an underrated comedy.
Yeah,
totally.
That's great.
Right? It was because it wasn't their sketches, and I think people were like, "Well, where's Chicken Lady?"
Right.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah.
And it was
I thought that was great. I enjoyed it.
First rendition of what's his from SNL, Lorne Michaels. We saw, like the short, that guy. But the movie that it's not a sci-fi, but it's an action movie, and I don't have to talk too much about it. But I remember as a kid just being blown away by it. I was a kid, and my parents dropped me off to go see a double feature of The Seduction with Morgan Fairchild. And
I love that movie.
Yeah, but not when you're 10. And then, so like, I remember just going like, what the, like, it just blew my mind as a kid. And then the next movie was Sharky's Machine. And that had one of my favorite drug
Wow.
scenes of all time. Just that the guy's so cooked up, he's just gunning him to death. He's just like, ah! You're just like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That was
big
like, I
social-
think wasn't that Burt Reynolds' first directorial debut?
so.
I think. Yeah.
It was better than that's one I try to watch sometimes, and it's it's got some okay.
It's kind of underrated.
Yeah, it's got some
kinda like
awkward
that
stuff
movie.
in it, but it's
I love Bert. I don't think I've ever seen it. So
yeah, it'd be an interesting one to revisit.
okay.
Rachel Ward is really gorgeous.
That's
in it.
true.
Ooh,
That's true.
okay.
Rachel
All
Ward
right,
in her
I'm in.
prime.
I'm in, guys.
Thanks, Fred. Those are two good ones.
All right, I got one that is a classic. Sean, I know you love this. Brain Damage.
yes.
1948.
Brain damage.
By
Fantastic.
the legendary director Frank Henenlotter, who brought us
Genius.
Basket Case.
Right.
Oh my God.
And the story is Brian, played by Rick Hurst, is attacked by this monstrous leech-like parasite who attaches itself to Brian's brainstem. Now, we soon discover that the parasite is intelligent and goes by the name of Almer. And Almer is voiced by legendary horror host John Zachary.
Such a great voice.
Great. And he's so funny.
So
And-
great.
And Henenlotter's films always have a comedic touch to them.
Oh yes.
But so anyway, Almer injects a hallucinogenic blue fluid into Brian's brain that causes him to trip balls. And it's a good trip, very euphoric. The bad news is that in return for getting these amazing trips, Brian has to find human victims for Almer so Almer can eat their brains. Now, of course, Brian gets totally hooked, but will his strange symbiotic relationship with Almer end up endangering his brother and girlfriend? What do you think?
It's great.
It's so good. And Almer is a fun puppet.
Yeah.
It's just slug worm character with the voice of Zachary. And
Trust me, Brian.
yeah, right.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's one that is, because everyone knows of Basket Case.
Right.
This
and
one-
Frankenhooker.
And Frankenhooker, right. This one sometimes gets forgotten,
Yeah.
but it's as good as those.
Yeah. Like there's shots of like, it's like inside his brain. You see the fluid like
You see
like
the needle go
going within. Yeah.
and you see this blue fluid just cover his brain.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really impressive camera work.
Yeah.
The cinematography, the shots, the special effects.
Yeah. He has a
It
little
all-
bigger budget in this
Yeah,
one.
it works really well. And then the way that he portrays the trip that Brian is having all the time.
Right.
And we've talked about mashups. There is a beautiful shared universe moment in the film where Brian runs into Dwayne Bradley from Basket Case on the
That's
subway.
right.
And it's actually played by the actor that played Dwayne Bradley, Kevin Van Hentenryck.
Right. It's the Henenlotter shared universe.
Yes, yeah.
They
And they're on
should have
this-
Frankenhooker in there too.
I know, right? Yeah, and he's on the subway. And he's holding Belial's basket. You got to see it.
It's good.
That's a nice
Cool.
one, Matt. That's a nice one. But yeah, so we've mentioned drugs, to get high and stuff. What I hate is when people use drugs to capture a monster. And I hate this one sequence, and it's from 1954, directed by Jack Arnold, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, starring Richard Carlson, Julie Adams, and Richard Dane. Because what
I can't believe you would bring up
happens,
that movie.
hey, we're gonna go capture the creature. How can we get this creature? And of course you get old Lucas, the captain of the boat says, it's just, hey, I know how to bring him up. Let us use rotenone. Well, what is this rotenone?
Rotenone.
Yes, rotenone is a drug made from roots to catch fish in still waters. Sometimes I catch fish that way. So they go, hey, with these scientists, they didn't know anything about this rotenone. So, all right, let's try it.
Or the people who eat that fish.
Well, that's
Yeah.
hey, that's what I put down. So for listeners who maybe you've never seen Creature from the Black Lagoon, I suggest you do. But the first time they do it doesn't work. They do it a second time. It brings the creature up because the creature breathes through his gills, and the rotenone is kind of poisonous, and it makes the creature passes him out along with all this fish.
Like, knocks
Matt is
him out.
absolutely right. If the fish get knocked out and they float to the top and you catch the fish, hey, great. Well, now I'm going to eat this fish. Now you've got rotenone in your system. So
Yeah.
not a good thing for the ecological system
No.
here.
Right.
So,
No.
but
I like that the creature's so strong though even that rotenone doesn't do the trick. You know, like he eventually.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He's at first, but he gets
slows
out of
him
it pretty
down a little
quickly.
bit.
It's like they gave him some reefer and he never smoked it before, and he's a kind of a woozy or whatever. And then over a period of time, he kind of gets back to his normal self. But rotenone, I actually thought when I saw the film, oh my God, is this a real thing? Rotenone? I tried to look into rotenone. What is it? It's it was just made specifically for the film.
Right.
But Lucas
was outlawed shortly after.
Yes, exactly. Lucas, who's played by Nestor Pavia, he's fantastic. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Rotenone is the drug.
That's a good one.
Nice.
Love it.
Okay, well, here's another movie that I really like and I think holds up pretty well that maybe people kind of forget about nowadays. And that's from 1990, directed by Adrian Lyne, Jacob's Ladder.
Oh.
Jacob's Ladder's this very stylishly made film with Tim Robbins as this Vietnam veteran who's in New York, and he's experiencing all kinds of strange hallucinations, terrible dreams, lots of dark visions, and he's losing his grip on reality slowly. And he starts to look into this, and he starts to suspect that he has other fellow soldiers who are going through the same thing. And he finds out that it's possible that the platoon or the group of soldiers that were in Vietnam were experimented on with a drug called the ladder. And this is a drug that, again, was secretly administered to the soldiers to increase their aggression in combat. And so there's this whole conspiracy that he's looking into. So that's one thread to the story. But then there's this whole other aspect.
Yeah, there's a twist.
Yeah. And is it supernatural? Is it a drug? Is it really the drug? You don't really know, and even until the end, really. But it's really effective because it's like he's investigating this and like he's finding out that, oh my God, this, we were guinea pigs. We were used for this thing just to fucking win the war. They just experimented on us. It's a trippy film. Lots of really memorable images in that movie. Really well directed. Elizabeth Pena, Danny Aiello, Jason Alexander, Ving Rhames is in it. Good film and worth checking out again.
I do like that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it was released.
Yeah, but it's good. It holds up.
Okay, Brazilian filmmaker Jose Mourins, better known as Coffin Joe,
Of course.
who was a one-time horror host and
Yep.
a filmmaker. Coffin Joe was a unique-looking creation with a top hat, a goatee, a unibrow, and very long fingernails.
Really long fingernails.
Really long fingernails. Appeared in a series of films with titles like At Midnight, I Will Take Your Soul,
Great.
in the 50s and 60s. And finally, later in his career, in 1970, made an exploitation drug film called Awakening of the Beast, which was posed as a pseudo-documentary about how drug use leads to sexual depravity.
I'll say.
Pretending to interview subjects in sort of a 60 minutes setting where they're actually injected with heroin in close-ups of needles into arms, and then leading to scenes of orgies and other kinds of wild sexual.
Hey, James, I guess they nailed the interview.
Where are the cartoon all-stars when you need them?
Well, most of this movie is the whole thing is completely surreal, ultra low budget, black and white until the end, when there's these hallucination sequences that include a shrunken head puppet that crawls around on all fours. You can't make this stuff up. You can see it on YouTube. Again, Coffin Joe, Awakening of the Beast, 1970.
Good one.
Nice one. Nice
Daffy
one.
Duck and Bugs Bunny show up to go porn season, drug season, porn season.
That's great.
All right,
Nice one,
Fred.
James. All right, Fred.
Basically, the movie. I just like love the movie. It's another one of those like sleeper hits for me. Equilibrium.
Oh,
Wait, which one is
refresh
that?
my
Is that-
memory on this one.
Is that
Gunkata. Does that ring a bell to anybody on this? Christian Bale.
Oh,
That's right.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, that's right.
I did see this.
I think that's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. It's and like if you read it, you go, "This is the worst movie ever." Like a fake country called Libria that's like very, you know, like the reason they're able to do Jim Kata.
Another movie you need to see.
On drugs. And then it's basically kung fu with guns.
Yes.
And it's because, you know, so it's just everyone's low key and cool.
Right.
Like you can dodge bullet, you know by where they're going to throw the gun, where the bullet's going to go. And it's really amazing. And the drug
I've not seen this actually.
And so the drug to society that they give to suppress any kind of
emotion of any kind, right?
Emotion,
it's like, yeah.
But it goes beyond. It's like anything stimulating emotion
Right.
or artistic expression.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like pure fascism. You know, even
Right.
the flag and the symbol throughout the whole thing is like it's basically a swastika.
Yes.
You know, like it's there's no subtlety,
Mhm.
and they have to take Prosium 2, which
Ah.
to suppress everything, and it's a thing where like, and it's basically, I think it's also really kind of religious. Like there's the leader's father, and there's clerics and stuff that guide everybody.
Right.
And you realize they're all screwed up, and then there's an underground, the resistance, who is not into it. One of the things is the guy John Preston is one of the characters, and his wife gets executed because she was a sense offender.
Uh-huh.
A
So
sense
it-
offender.
Yeah,
Sense, yeah.
yeah, classic. And it's just done really, really well.
Yeah, you know, if it's funny, Fred, that you mentioned this. I haven't seen this. I saw this a long time ago. The thing that I thought was so amazing about it is it wasn't considered a big budget film when it came out.
It's not small though either.
No, it's not small, but it's not a big budget film. The cinematographer was a gentleman named Dion Beebe. And Dion Beebe went on to, I mean, I remember watching this film thinking, God, this looks great.
Yes, it does.
The shadows and the angles, and you could tell they didn't have a lot of money for stuff, but the way Dion Beebe did a lot of amazing camera work. Dion Beebe went on to win an Academy Award for cinematographer for other films, and he's an incredible cinematographer. And he's married to a former AFI fellow who I went to school with.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
They just came out with a film about Helen Reddy, and he did the cinematography for that film too. But if you look at his career, I mean, his cinematography is just beautiful. And that's the thing about the film that I remembered the most, because I just thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things that's funny is like the character, John Preston, is Christian Bale. And it was before anybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of the few times like he's amazing and you don't mind his talking.
I love Christian Bale in everything, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I really do love him. And
I'm hot or cold on him on everything.
And my wife, if he shows up at our house, I'm out. I'm done. You know? Yeah.
He'll personally throw you out.
He will. No,
Yeah.
if I will do everything I can to just stay out of his eye line. But that is a great choice. That is a movie. I think I brought it up once before a long time ago. And that name is one of those names that sounds like the name of other movies.
Exactly.
But I remember really enjoying that. And I think I need to see that again.
Yeah, it is.
I've not seen it. I want to see it now. Yeah.
It's really good. And the thing that when I remember I was like, it's such a bad name for the movie, I feel like.
I got it mixed up with some other sci-fi movie I'm thinking of with a name similar.
There's so many movies with a name like that.
Like Equilibrium kind of feel.
Yeah.
But the two things I like watch it for Gun Kata. Like someone was like, no, it's like, and I'm like, it sounds so stupid. And it's like, it's amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
A few times I'm watching going like, oh, I was a fool. This is really amazing. And it's funny that he plays the main character whose wife gets killed for a sense offender. But I just love that he's like a single dad too on top of it. It's got a heartwarming.
Wow, okay, cool.
All right.
Nice one, Fred. Well, that's so great. I mean, we could go on and on.
Yes, we could. I think we need to do another round of this at some point.
Yeah,
because I realize now how many.
I got lots here.
Well, what do you say we do like a little lightning round, huh? What do we?
Okay.
Lightning round.
All right.
Just give us a few of them, you know.
All right. Well, I'll get it going. I think we need to talk about the episode of The Incredible Hulk called Metamorphosis.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this was season 3. And this is the live action TV show with Bill Bixby. Right. And in this one, David Banner rescues a suicidal rock star from a fiery car crash. And she develops a crush on him. and he feels responsible for her. So to ensure her safety, he takes a job as one of her road crew. Well, one of the guys in the road crew plays a trick on him and puts acid in his drink. And so what you get to see is David Banner turn into the Hulk, who is now on acid. Need I say more?
Yeah, really.
And it's so good. And then there's this wonderful moment where he does the transformation. He is now the Hulk. And then you see this look in Lou Ferrigno's eyes like, something's different, and you see out of his eyes and you see him seeing trails, and it's fabulous.
That's great.
There is also an Ultraman character by the name of Ultraman Nice. And Ultraman Nice was this Ultraman character that was only done for a series of toy commercials for Bandai Toys. And the Ultra Force was this family, and there's this one guy who is from the planet Toy One. And when he turns into Ultraman Nice, who looks a lot like Ultraman Tiga, when the main guy wants to change into Ultraman Nice, he takes a pill. And I've never seen this in any Ultraman show. He takes a pill, which is actually like a candy. And I'm sure they sold the candy somewhere, but I've been looking for, it's like a little wristwatch container where he pops open a little lid and he takes a pill and turns into Ultraman. The first time I've ever seen someone turn into a superhero by using a pill. Did Underdog?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that was the only one I know of before that.
Yeah. I think there wasn't a cartoon Super Chicken. I think
did he take a pill too?
He drank a martini.
Did he take a pill or something? Drink something?
I don't remember.
Martini kind of a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
We also got to talk about Soma from Brave New World.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Which is similar to Equilibrium in the sense that it's a drug that kind of just mellows everybody out so they don't cause trouble.
Right.
That is probably one of the more famous drugs in genre history. And the next one is one that I have never seen any of these movies, and I've never read one of the books. But does anyone know anything about Tech? William Shatner's Tech.
Tech Wars.
Tech Wars.
Yeah.
That was a comic, but I've never read it.
Yeah, it was a comic. It was a series of books. They made a syndicated TV series that I know it was always on, but I never actually watched.
I never watched it.
I remember seeing the commercials. It was on like a syndicated channel, and it was on for a while, I think. He was in it too. And yeah,
I think he had to be in it probably, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's an interesting show. That'd be an interesting show to check out now because he wrote the books, right? And he wrote the books, and then they made the series.
Well, supposedly. I'm sure
it was ghost written.
He had his name out, but still, but it was this whole little mini franchise kind of. So,
but from what I read about it, it's supposed to be a mind-altering digital drug in the form of a microchip.
Huh.
That sounds interesting. And then finally, I'm just gonna, for all the Babylon 5 fans out there, Dust, which was a drug that was created by the Psychor.
Oh, yeah.
And it would increase your telepathic ability.
Right.
So there you go.
Good job.
Those are nice, Matt. Those are nice. Well, really quickly, it's hard to imagine that we've talked about drugs without talking about one of the most influential ones, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde,
of course.
based on 1887
A
Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Look, there have been many, many films of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You've got the 1920 with John Barrymore, 1931 with Frederick March, 1941 with Spencer Tracy, and on and on and on. But one of the ones that I like regarding Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are actually the animated ones from Warner Brothers, specifically Hyde and Hare from 1955, directed.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
An amazing voice with Bugs Bunny, but also my favorite hide and go tweet where Sylvester is going to go after a little Tweety bird who accidentally gets this potion that is Dr. Jekyll's potion, and he turns into this giant monstrous Tweety bird.
Hey Larry, I have a figure of that Mr. Hyde Tweety bird.
That is the greatest. If you've never seen this, you can catch it on YouTube. Hide and Go Tweet from 1960, and it's so great when Tweety Bird as a giant monster goes, "Bad old putty dad." And for Sylvester, it's horrific.
It's great.
So those are some animated ones. Then there's a famous, controversial animated drug reference thing, and it actually killed the series. It's from 1988.
Yeah.
The Mighty Mouse, The New Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ralph Bakshi, right?
Now, people forget about this, but there's a very controversial cartoon. Now, I love the show because he had like kind of adult humor. Kids could watch it, but adults would get the jokes. He was very much ahead of his time.
It was a new version of the classic character that's been.
Yes, exactly. Not from the 50s. Here I come to save the day. He still kind of sang stuff, but there was a lot of really funny adult stuff in there. However, there was a sequence where Mighty Mouse crushes a flower and powder comes out and he sniffs it. A minister thought that it was cocaine, and so he raised a big stink about it, and all this controversy came about it. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Right.
And Bakshi was interviewed. He goes, he crushes a flower. But
you can't. To be fair, you can't snort a powder. Without people thinking cocaine.
But the weird thing is, at the time, while they were working on Mighty Mouse, the producer was just saying, now you're making this for adults. We're showing this on Saturday morning television. We have no tie-ins. Parents don't like the drug references. Who are we making this for? And so it was kind of like this afterthought. Exactly. Kind of had the afterthought that we're putting this at a time when, no one will watch it. So it was killed. I've seen the sequence, and to me, it's a harmless thing, but it's a very controversial sequence in Mighty Mouse, All New Adventures from 1988.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me list them off here. Of course, we have to mention David Lynch's Blue Velvet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you look at me?
Dennis Hopper as Frank Booth is inhaling this unknown gas that causes him to exhibit these personalities, daddy and baby. Super crazy, creepy, cool stuff. The third Nightmare on Elm Street film, Dream Warriors, which is one of my favorite sequels of them. Jennifer Rubin's character is a recovering drug addict. And when she enters the dream world, she's killed by Freddy. Like Freddy's blade fingers suddenly become syringes and he injects her in the arms.
I remember that.
Very, very memorable.
Yeah. Wait, doesn't her wounds, like her needle marks?
They open up.
Yes.
They open up,
they're hungry.
Yeah.
Stuck on it, like,
they're hungry.
Bottle.
Yeah, really amazing. Yeah. A crazy, very bizarre cult film, sci-fi comedy, I don't even know how to describe it, movie in 1982 called Liquid Sky. It's very strange. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely worth seeing once. It definitely captures the New York New Wave weirdness. Basically,
I think I saw it.
Yeah, it takes place around this Manhattan apartment building. A tiny UFO lands on the roof of this apartment building, and these aliens extract endorphins from the lovers of a drug-addicted model as they reach orgasm, and they causes them to explode.
Oh my!
That's Liquid Sky.
A story torn right from the front page.
Yes,
that happened to a friend of mine.
The movie Caveman features a very unique drug scene where a dinosaur is fed hallucinogenic berries.
Yeah,
and it kind of trips out and falls off a cliff. I love it. Matt, we have to mention Skidoo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the ultimate big Hollywood drug misfire movie by Otto Preminger in 1968. Jackie Gleason is given some acid and goes on this crazy trip.
He's given acid in prison.
Yes, right.
And the acid scene is a delight.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It doesn't get much better.
No.
I really do. I think that movie is another one that's an underrated underground classic.
Right.
There's a lot of really funny stuff in that movie.
Absolutely.
And talk about the cast.
Oh, my God. Jackie Gleason, Carol Channing, Fred Clark, Groucho Marx, Frankie Avalon, Frank Gorshin, Burgess Meredith, Cesar Romero, Mickey Rooney, John Philip Law, to name just a few.
Harry Nelson.
Yeah. It's insane.
It was Cannonball Run before Cannonball Run.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Of course, Tim Burton's Ed Wood deals with Lugosi's addiction to morphine and methadone.
Great.
Right.
The Matrix.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Red pill.
The red pill reveals truth. Blue pill creates the illusion.
And you know what? It doesn't.
My final one I'd say would be Midsommar, which is a couple travels to Sweden for a festival, and things go very, very wrong. And there's basically this pagan cult, and certain characters are given this kind of tea and various drugs to get them into the right mood and pliable for them to do horrible things to.
Can I just say, those people, those guys took hallucinogens way too early in that trip. You got to get the lay of the land, you know?
It's so funny. We've mentioned this. It was a film that I felt I could only see once. My daughter.
I'm going to revisit it again, though.
My daughter was getting on my case. She wanted to see them all.
You're kidding. You showed it to your daughter?
You have to.
I didn't show it. She went and saw it.
Wow. What did she think?
They
she wants to go to Europe.
Really?
The funny thing is,
your daughter is awesome.
I know. Listen, look, for a guy,
we need to get a bear, Dad.
I'm just saying, for a guy, you have there's certain things about it. For a woman, maybe it's a bit more empowering. But my daughter said, "Oh, I loved it. I liked it more than Hereditary."
Menstrual homebrew. Nice.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
Wow.
James, you got a couple for us?
Well, Lot 6 from Firestarter, administered by a sinister government underground agency called the Shop, to some college students as an experimental drug.
Right.
Two of them end up getting married and having a baby with pyrokinesis. And that's Firestarter.
Great.
Also from Stephen King, The Stand, where a plague wipes out most of the universe except a few survivors who are immune, including a character named Rita Blakemore, who's a New York socialite and pill popper, who, even though she's immune against all odds to this virus, still decides to overdose and take her own life. She's played by Heather Graham in the current miniseries. She's a minor character, but still, it's one of those, God, what a waste.
I don't hate that show so far, myself, by the way.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm not crazy about the shifting and back and forth.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yes, I agree. I
like it. I think it's a lot more powerful linear.
I agree.
Also, Train Spotting from Danny Boyle in 1996. Not a genre film, but it's got one of the most disturbing scenes involving it.
But of course you had to bring that up because you're James GONIS.
Well, yeah.
Hey, what drugs are in that movie?
It's all... and then... Sean, since you mentioned Roger Corman and The Trip, lately I brought up Joe Dante a couple of times. Joe Dante had a pet project called The Man with Kaleidoscope Eyes, a script that he had written about Roger Corman taking LSD to make the movie.
Right.
He tried to get it off the ground with Tim Robbins playing Corman. It never happened.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
It did. I know. And plus, Peter Fonda was going to play Henry Fonda.
Oh, wow.
And of course, you were going to have people playing Dennis Hopper and Jack Nicholson.
Oh, great.
It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
We need to start a GoFundMe page here.
Well, it did get a reading, a public reading, with Bill Hader playing Corman a couple of years ago here in LA.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Which was cool. And then finally, a couple of cartoons. Popeye. Was there really just spinach in those cans? Because I'm thinking steroids. Yeah. And then
it's the same stuff that Bane takes.
And
then Scooby snacks.
Shaggy and Scoob were definitely addicted to those things.
I don't know but I don't know which came first though. Like he was so crazy for the Scooby snacks because he was on something before that.
Oh yeah, he had a munchies maybe.
Another way of looking at it, but
you look at Shaggy, you look at the van. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, but I accept that.
Right.
All right.
Don't judge a book by its cover, though.
Edibles.
All right, Fred, take us out.
My last one, and it's probably the most depressing.
Good.
Is good. We love.
Let's end with a downer. Come on.
Is Essence the Skeksis? Give me the Essence.
What's that? What?
Dark Crystal.
Oh, Dark Crystal. I'm not that familiar with that film.
Fred, have you seen the new Dark Crystal series?
Yes.
Is it good?
I really like that. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Dark.
It was
just as messed up.
They do it with Muppets. It's not. I mean, there's some CGI, but it's done very, very
It's
well.
done very
Guys,
well.
I need help here. I need help here because I've never seen that movie. I've watched a few minutes of it. I have a thing. I'm not crazy about Muppets.
Sure.
Well, then you should.
But does it work though? I mean,
I think it does. I mean,
in
to be honest, I thought the series is better. It's a little more
'cause they have to
solid.
take time with it,
It explores the world much more. I don't know if they're doing other series. They spend a lot of money. It looks real. The music's good.
I'll give it a try.
Beautifully shot, but you had to kind of start with the movie. But
Well, I mean,
they're Muppets.
I don't mind a puppet. I'm not crazy about the Muppets.
Well, here's the thing.
It's just a puppet.
I don't think it's really fair to call them Muppets because these Muppets are puppets that Jim Henson did for the Dark Crystal. They were so state of the art at the time, kind of like realistic. The Skeksis are horrific.
I would say that. Yeah. Who's the good ones? The Gelfins, or what they're called?
Gelflings.
Like those are the most Muppet looking.
And the pod.
All the
they
other
look a little like ElfQuest, right?
But that's
Yeah,
yes.
All the other creatures and characters are fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
And Skeksis stay young and powerful by drinking the essence, which is
of the Gelfins. Yeah,
they take the Gelflings and like suck their energy.
It's like their life force,
their soul.
That's
there's
a blue liquid. And they drink it like, oh, yes.
There's a sequence in the film, Matt, that you might like where they have one chained up and they suck the essence out of it and he gets all skinny and gross.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And Fred's absolutely right. I totally forgot about that, Fred, but that's a horrifying moment.
I think, Mark Hamill does one of the voices in the new series. And I liked it a lot. I was really surprised.
Yeah. Didn't they pick up kind of right where they did great?
Well, and I think it's actually a prequel because there's a moment in the series where she has a vision of the future and it's a scene from the movie. The series is called Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And I'm pretty sure it takes place before the movie.
The movie that was made back in, I think, the 80s, it may not be fast enough for you, but the world is beautiful.
Yeah, and it became like a
I'll give it a try. I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, Simon Pegg is one of the voices.
I'm way more patient than I used to be.
Yeah.
Really?
That's a good one, though.
Series. Check out the series.
Yeah, series is good.
You can get it. They give you a backstory if you don't want to see the...
That's true, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right,
that's awesome, man. That's just great.
That's a good one.
That was a good one to go out on.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us on drugs.
Yes.
On the drugs episode.
Fantastic.
All right, Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah. Is there anything you're working on? Something you want to tell us about? Something our listeners can check out?
I'm working on another animated thing, which is fun.
Cool.
It's not out yet. And then also the one thing that I have, like me and my kid do a thing for YouTube.
Nice.
If you have kids and you want to learn how to do just stupid things, we just with the quarantine, with us being home all the time, we started making videos for our friends, and it's called Secret Mission High Five.
Secret Mission High Five.
That's a great name.
Yeah, and my daughter plays a robot, a ninja. And I think I don't know what else she plays, and I play.
Did she ever play Roy Scheider?
You might want to write that one in.
We actually, we actually think we can get Roy Scheider.
I want to learn things from you guys.
Yeah, watch it if you get
That's
bored.
cool.
And we're also doing another subcategory where she's going to do Star Wars toy reviews as the character of the Little Mandalorian, and we just built. We're going to do a thing where we built, and it's coming out in a year, but we built our own a Nerf Mandalorian rifle.
Oh,
cool.
She's going to do a video with that, so we're pretty excited.
Nice.
And if you're watching it, people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, she must love it," and I'll tell you, she loves it. Take one. Which she's 5 years old, so like take 7. It's just me going, just hit your mark, okay?
Hey, what if we pretend to care?
It's called acting. Act like you're not crying.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Is this thing a union?
We fall under college experimental.
Okay. Well, Fred, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for coming back.
This is awesome, man.
Guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Hope this didn't go too long for you.
Oh, never too long.
The one thing I've learned is we could probably do another round of drugs.
Yes, we could.
Yeah.
Well,
Easily.
I
another
always
episode.
say that. I can always do another.
I can
round of
always do
drugs.
another round of drugs.
Come on.
Well, what do you say we raise our glasses
Yes.
to toast to Fred Belford
Woohoo!
to drug movies?
Woo!
Monster party.
Time for listener shout out.
Shut
Shout
up!
out!
Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow.
This goes out to Bobby Martinez from Oakley, California, and
Yay!
George Petty from Madison, Ohio.
Woohoo!
Hey.
Listeners who are now proud owners of the Monster Party cloth mask. that
All right.
Oh.
Now
Yeah.
they're safe and cool. At the same
Yeah.
time.
And they
Yes,
don't smell
indeed.
like reefer at all.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for your support. And also, we have a new review.
Oh my. I'm
Oh.
scared.
Cool.
And this actually comes from a friend and longtime listener, Jim Jenkins.
Oh,
All right,
phew.
Jim.
Jim writes,
Jim, the creator of those amazing
We love Jim. We love
figures
him.
made out of construction
he's,
paper.
He's a
Like-
brilliant artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes. And Jim posted this on December 27th, and he wrote, I owe you. This year, my brother's been listening more regularly. So this year they listened to your gift guide episode. As a consequence, I'm looking at the new walking, talking Robbie the Robot
Ah.
and a cool Godzilla shirt.
Nice.
Oh.
So all my love to Bruce and Dina, and hail to the public service-minded Monster Party.
Serving monster kids the world over.
Yeah. Thanks,
We're looking
Jim.
out for you.
Yeah, thanks,
Hey,
Jim. Glad it
Jim.
worked
Yeah.
out.
Jim, if you're listening, how fucking great is that Robbie? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and my wife Gina got that as a gift from Matt Weinhold and his wife. Karen.
No.
Yay.
So we all have it, right?
I
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
look at that. Look
Lovely.
At that.
I mean, it really is the best bang for your robot buck.
It
Absolutely.
really is. It really is.
Yes, indeed.
I would like to give a shout out, if I could, to a friend of the show who's been on the show. She loves us. She loves the show. And she's just wonderful. She's a comedian and a writer, producer, director. She does it all. It's Sue Murphy.
Sue Murphy.
We love Sue Murphy.
She's a one-woman
Yeah.
powerhouse.
Oh my
She really
God.
is.
If anyone is, she is. And but I love her to pieces. And she has all these photos that she took over the years of Comedy Day in San Francisco, which is this thing that was
wow.
done in the park, and a bunch of comedians would come up and each would do, 5 or 10 minutes. And then, a bigger name like Robin Williams would come in at the end and do maybe 20 or a half hour or whatever. But it was a full day of live comedy in the park. And Sue took all these backstage photos and front stage photos and just chronicled this thing for years.
Wow.
And I will put up a link to her photos on Facebook, and you
Nice.
can look at all this comedy history. And
That's
it's there's a
cool.
lot there. She took a lot of photos. So
That's awesome.
thank you, Sue.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
Sue.
you, Sue. And as I just mentioned, you can purchase Monster Party swag, including the cloth PPE mask and the Monster Party logo t-shirt that glows in the dark at our Monster Party store on eBay, which is called, you
Cool.
guessed it, Monster Party Store.
Hey,
We have various sizes of t-shirts still available. We have the masks still available. So please get on there while shipping is still free.
yeah. I mean, the masks are $8. The t-shirts are $20. Both right now, free shipping.
That's
So-
just,
bargain.
that's just
So-
incredible.
It's incredible. I don't know how we do it.
I know.
We're not only insane, but we must be on drugs.
Yeah.
I think.
Melange.
But if you are a member of Patreon, yes, the private Patreon Monster Partiers Club, you will get, along with your merch order, you'll get prizes, you'll get extra things, you'll get treasures donated to us by Biff Bang Pow Toys and Jason Lindsay. And
Aw.
yeah, along with your t-shirt, your glow-in-the-dark t-shirt, or whatever you get, you're going to get something else. So you're going to open this box and go, wow, it's my birthday, it's Christmas. And boy, do I love those Monster Party guys. That's what you're going to be thinking.
Exactly.
But you cannot get any of this unless you join Patreon. And you know how much it costs to join Patreon?
How much does it cost, Matt?
It's $5 a month.
$5 a month.
$5.
You can't buy a reefer for that.
No, not anything good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want the best if you're going to go reefer. Now, reefer, just to be clear, does not come with your merch.
Let's be clear.
Yes.
If you want to smoke the mask, we take no responsibility. Yes.
But it's a nice mask.
It's a nice
Very
mask.
nice.
We like to provide quality products. And again, $5. And you not only get these perks when it comes to the merch, but you also get extra audio, visual, just all this crazy nonsense, whatever we can come up with.
Showing our toy collections. It's amazing.
Toy collections and how we decorate our houses, and then bonus episodes. And we got another one coming soon. So get on board. You deserve it.
Yeah. And hey, let's remind our listeners that you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV, our Twitter handle at Monster Party HQ, Instagram also Monster Party HQ. And hey, whatever platform you're listening to us on, please take a moment and post a review. We would love to hear from you, and we will read it on the air.
Like, wow. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Strothe.
And I'm James GONIS.
Keep America strong.
Watch drug movies.
But do so responsibly.
Monster Party does not condone or approve the use of drugs in this episode.
You're despicable. Hey, he's back. He's down.
And now he has his mask on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I think it's like altered states. I think that you regressed.
Yeah.
You devolved, and then and now you're back. Now you climbed out of your isolation booth, and you're back with us. And then later on, you and what's her face?
Beth,
the
Jenny
redhead.
Agutter?
No, the redhead in Altered States.
Why can't it just be Jenny Agutter?
Well, that's what I've been asking my entire life.
I just saw a photo of her, and I'm thinking we should try to get her on the show.
Go for it, man.
That would be interesting. I'd love if he had some kind of connection.
Yeah.
Walkabout just came out on Blu-ray, by the way.
Oh, stop it.
Because we lost
You can't just say walkabout and then expect me to just go on with the show.
Because we lost our chance to get Tanya Roberts.
Oh,
Lost our chance.
yeah.
That's terrible.
Rest in
Because
peace.
It's so weird too.
And-
what happened?
Look at this.
Yeah,
Michael even gave me, this is a photo of he had her deliberately sign my issue.
I got
wow.
a picture. I got a picture with her too, and signed something at a Hollywood Collector show. It was when they had all the Bond girls there.
Yeah. It's so sad.
That
it's
is
one of
sad,
those-
yes.
I know.
Well, okay. So do we all know the story? We all know what happened?
I don't know all the story.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very strange. Basically, she collapsed one time. She was like walking her dog or something.
Yeah.
And she went to the hospital. It was some kind of respiratory problem. And I guess people are thinking it was COVID at first.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't. Then I guess her partner, her friend, or I know it was a boyfriend, whoever, was at her bedside in the hospital, and she like exhaled, and he said, "Oh, well, she's gone," and he left, and then
he left.
I know
Because he was devastated. Look, he had a medical,
and then he found out
medical
that,
professional told him she's gone.
Oh, I didn't know that. So and then it turns out she was still alive, but then she passed away. Anyway, it was like a urinary tract infection.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah, I know, it's horrible.
Yeah, I have not followed this story, but that's insane.
Did you guys catch the picture of my sister? My sister, who is a medical professional who
What does she
delivers
do?
babies, she got her second COVID shot.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
And while she was doing it, guess what mask she was wearing? She was
Ah.
wearing our Monster Party
Oh,
mask.
okay.
I was thinking of like a full rubber mask or something.
The mask.
What, did she take a
Yeah,
picture?
I was thinking like Monster Mask. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
what a horrible way to deliver a baby.
Done post mole people.
No, the old man mask. That would be the one she should wear.
The old man. Yeah, what is
Mad
it? The
scientist
mad
mask.
scientist.
Okay.
Did he come with hands, by the way?
I don't know.
Okay, let's be frank here. Let's be honest. When we saw those masks, the one mask we didn't want was the mad scientist because it basically looked like an old man. I would rather have Frankenstein or Wolfman, creature, real monsters. Why do you want the old
Just
man?
an old guy.
Well, I guess to a kid, that is the ultimate horror.
Yeah.
Full of life.
Oh no, I'm not going to be that, am I?
Unless it said, and it smells like your grandfather's prunes.
Yeah, right.
Like
It comes with a moist mint.
Just a moist.
Actually,
what?
it would be
It just comes
horrifying
with a
for
moist.
me. It would be horrifying for me if it said it smells like scotch and cigarettes, because that's what Grandpa smelled like.
My dad always smelled like Manhattans and Triscuits.
Triscuits?
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, no, I'd come home after school. He'd be in the kitchen. We had a little kitchen table and we had a little TV, and he'd have his tray of treats out, and he'd have the Triscuits and a little salami and some cheese and that nice full Manhattan, and then when that was done, he would go into the living room and he'd put on you guys remember K-Fog, remember?
Oh, yes.
Beautiful music.
Beautiful.
And so it was like music,
Yeah.
And he would lie on the couch and he'd listen to music.
Mhm.
And just let the waves of the Manhattan go over him. And
But your dad lived to the ripe old age of 96, I believe.
yes, he did. So apparently the Breakfast of Champions
I
is
don't know about you,
Manhattans
but
and Triscuits.
I'm changing my diet now to Manhattans and Triscuits.
I have. I think I have too many though. I think portion control may be the problem here.
You guys have convinced me. No more Manhattans and Ritz.
Oh, Ritz would be good too. Actually, I'd prefer Ritz.
Fred,
I love a Ritz cracker.
Did you ever put on the cheese in the can, that you spread, it comes out and it's like a toothpaste. Did you ever put that on
Cheese
your
Whiz.
Ritz?
Cheese Whiz.
Yeah.
It's called Cheese Whiz.
Yeah.
Cheese Whiz. I love Cheese Whiz. I
did not like Cheese Whiz.
Yeah, I liked it as a kid, but I'm not really.
Nah, chemically.
Okay.
And I like a real cheese. I like a nice
real
little wedge.
real cheese. I'll eat
Real cheese.
any kind of real
Fred,
cheese. Like,
we've changed the topic yet again.
Yeah, tonight's topic is cheeses in horror and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Now look, I love a good cheese.
Wouldn't Attack of the Killer Tomatoes have been better with cheese? All right, go ahead.
Everything's better with cheese, Fred.
Do you guys like smoky cheese? Smoky?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't like an artificially smoky cheese too much.
What do you mean an artificial smoky cheese? Just smoky cheese.
like
that hearty Hickory Farm
Camel-Lite.
smoky cheese.
That's what I like. I like an old lady from Laughlin to just go over my cheese with a Camel or a Marlboro.
It's a living.
Hey, it's menthol, so you add a little bit of mint to it. It's nice.
Now, James, on your special diet, are you able to eat cheese?
Yeah, in small quantities, but preferred organic, grass-fed dairy products. It's a clean,
Grass-fed
cleansed,
cheese?
organic. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yes, princess.
I know. It's only government cheese for us working class foods is over here.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not at the 99-cent store, forget it.
For the listeners, we want to just take them away from everything that's going on in the world today.
Fred.
And if the topic is cheese.
Yes.
Let's give them cheese.
I'm ready to make the topic change at any point, but
it's a good topic.
But Fred,
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you guys. How are you doing?
Fred, it's been ages.
Yeah, we're great. And how are you doing?
I couldn't be more awesome.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
know. It's like the chocolate factory.
right?
Except minus anything fun. It's just the horror.
Just horror. And leaving, we'll get you more horror.
Now, Fred, that's a Mandalorian mask, not a 300 mask, because it looks like one of those Trojan things, you know.
Well, that's what it's based off of was the
it's
Roman gladiator.
slightly designed.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, no.
Wow.
My kid and I, we do like a YouTube show.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, and then so we added a second thing. We're doing like little Mandalorian thing.
Neat.
Oh man, I'm so out of the loop.
Are there like little like one act plays or what is this?
We don't know. The first one
We don't know.
She's like, well, it's funny. She's obsessed with YouTube people. So I'm not kidding you. Like with your 5-year-old pitching you stories, it's the best thing in the world. Like
that is beautiful.
Here's what I do. I jump out and I scare your character. Then your character flies, and you're like, okay, honey, okay, well, I'll give you some rigging right there. And like, we're gonna have to just
blue screen.
But it looks like you got a green screen in the back there.
We do have a green screen. We do a thing called Secret Mission High Five, where we teach. We just do crafts, and we just did it for her friends to go on missions, and then, I mean, we don't get like hits or anything, but it was made for her friends, and then so we started doing this, and we're gonna do them both. And the little.
Can't we be her friends too? I want to learn crafts.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah.
Go to Secret Mission High Five on YouTube.
Hey, man, this is going to change.
If you want.
Sure, absolutely.
With Monster Party, man, you're breaking out, okay? And you say at the end of the show when you go, "Hey, Fred, so what are you working on?" And then you go, "Well, to those thousands and thousands of listeners to Monster Party, they could check out me and my daughter on YouTube at blah 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 blah."
Next thing you know, hit.
Yeah, viral.
127 hits.
What?
Dun 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 dun.
Everybody wants to know how to make a picture out of beans.
Exactly. I one time was working with Russell Brand on his show, and like I did this thing and I put it up, and I said like, "Hey Russ, can you like tweet about it?" You know, like just thinking like, and he's like, "Yeah, man." He did, and he just gave it this glowing review. It was amazing, and he's got like he had a huge show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I just get half of his people to watch it, and then there's that that YouTube thing where it hits like 300 and it stops because you're just gonna get like crazy hits after that. Well, counts them. And it was like 5,000 hits at the end of it for like a long time. Like,
That's wonderful, though.
but I loved it, and it was wonderful that he did that. But it was.
He seems he seems a little nutty, but he seems like a nice person.
He is everything you'll think he's going to be in the best way. Like
Great.
He was really. I always say this about any celebrity or person. If you're good to my family, like I'm your fan. You know what I mean?
Sure. Right.
And he was super sweet to my family. And one of my favorite stories is he has this 6'8" bodyguard, Danny, who's like, who literally was like Guy Ritchie crafted him or something. And it's like I just story after story, like the first time I ever heard like some guy got in an elevator with us, like a really wealthy guy with a bandage on his nose with rhinoplasty. I mean, he's rhinoplasty, but he thinks of it, "Oi, you got yourself a little Glasgow kiss there, did you?" So like, and I'm just like, this is like the day I meet him. I'm like, I don't know. And then I like, is that what I think it is? And the guy's like, "Oh no," and he's like, "Don't lie to me." and like, I thought he was gonna like stop the elevator. "You tell me the truth right now, or you're gonna."
Meanwhile, you're scribbling down Glasgow kiss.
That was like the greatest term ever for a headbutt. Wow. And then
that's fantastic.
My family saw him after his show was done, and my wife saw the guy, and she's like, "Oh, hey, nice, the bodyguard, like, nice to see you. We're Fred's family." He goes, "Oi, right here!" And he grabs Russell, like, who's looking somewhere else, and he goes, grabs him by the back, and he goes, "Fred's family!" Turns around, throws him down, and he's like, "Hey, everybody!" Just even that just made me like laugh so hard. That story is like,
wow. That's almost like having Gort as your bodyguard, because it's like he's in charge.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I love that he manhandled him. I mean, he's not really, but it was just like, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things.
It's just like a superhero, like a giant, strong guy who doesn't know how strong he is, and just picks people up like chess pieces.
Exactly, but also just like, "You're done with this trash."
I need that in my life.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's him. That's my,
That's fantastic. Hey, can we put some of this as our little extra stuff at the end of our deal?
Sure. I don't think anything's offensive to him, right?
Yeah. No. Either. I went back and forth on Russell Brand. Just, I mean, as a comic or like that kind of thing. But I always every time I saw him speak, and I've seen interviews with him, I always found him to be quite intelligent, obviously, very interesting, and no bullshit, which that's refreshing.
Well, on top of that, I will say, I don't care who you are. The man is like hand carved out of pure charm. Like
I can see that.
Just like he just charms you just by being him in the best way. Like if and stand up wise, like I've always been, thought he was great and whatever. But if you go back to we had to do shows in London, and if you see him perform in London, you go, right, yeah. It's
like a different thing.
Yeah, it was just like, it wasn't Largo or the Improv. It was like some big theater, and it was like impromptu. I think an impromptu stand-up set for like the crowd.
And it's in a different language too.
It's just a different pacing, like always, like making references.
British language. Hello and the loo.
Hey, he's not a chimney sweep, all right? Can we?
Hey, governors.
Yeah.
but he like would say things that you're like, I have no idea what he's talking about, and like do moves, and like literally from like young to old, people like tears laughing.
Yeah.
And like things that I'm like, I have no idea. I don't have Cadbury in America, but I'm still cracking up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Still just like swept up in it all.
Yeah.
And like I recommend seeing him in his hometown. Like it is impressive.
One of the most beautiful things I ever saw him do was he's with that Joe Scarborough's wife co-host Mika. Yeah. And so he's on this interview. He has this interview with her. And she is just like so disrespectful, in my opinion. And he is just taking her apart layer by layer in not a mean way, but just pointing out things that she's doing. Like all of a sudden she starts referring to him in the third person. It's like, what? I'm right here. Why don't you talk directly to me? I mean, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was great. And that's the stuff that I always respect in a celebrity, is someone who cuts through that bullshit and is able to just be who they are. That's what with him, I always feel like that's who he is.
That's what I mean. Like, however you think he's going to be, he's just going to be that. Like, if you're like, I hate him, it's like, you won't hate him. You can hate him coming in. He's going to be the person you.
Right. You hate him for being the person that he is, but he's not bullshitting you.
He will charm. He like, and one of the greatest things now I don't know if you put this in there. Was when we murdered our first person together.
We'll cut this. Yeah.
There was a time when he
helped our first person.
We helped our first person relieve themselves of all their pain forever, and never snitch again. No, so we had to, because he was like, he didn't like driving all the way to the studio sometimes. So he would say, let's just do it at the Soho House. I remember the Soho House. Mm-hmm. And it was like, for weeks, we'd go there like 2-3 times. And just like, I don't know if you know the Soho House, but it's like super like, there's Harry Styles, it's all that kind of crap.
Right.
And then, and like, you're sitting there, and like, first of all, just picture like the schlubbiest dudes, like walking under and like, they used to look at us and be like, and you're here, why? Like, it was really like insane. we're like,
there's no anime convention here.
There's no like out of shape, doughy people here. And no, you cannot bring in your burritos. And then, but it was like, we would go there. It took about 6 weeks before they finally would go, all right, come on in, guys. Like, like, who are you here to see? Oh, I don't know. We hate you. Like, really, you are really ruining it for us.
Pork pie and Ichabod are here. Let's let them in.
Jeff Cesario. It was Jeff Cesario. That was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's
a good guy.
He's a great guy, but he is not the first person you'd think to walk into the house. Yeah. And it was like, it'd be like, don't touch anything. And then, but meanwhile, you're doing meetings with like this, like, okay, pitch it to me. And then it's like, hold on, there's P. Diddy. Hold on, he's gonna come over here. It's like you were just like, okay, you just want to picture jokes, and like there could be a best or worst place to do it.
Yeah, Mr. Diddy, there's a good time and a bad time. Now's the bad time.
Diddy, we're doing something right now.
Yeah.
So,
Should we start this before it gets too late?
I wish
I know that Shawn Sheridan has to. He has this thing called work.
Yeah.
oh, what do you got to do?
I work in reality shows, story produce. I'm working on an Avid system, cutting scenes at home remotely.
What show are you working on?
I don't know if you ever heard. It's a VH1 show. It's been on for many seasons. It's called T.I. and Tiny, Friends and Family Hustle. T.I.
Right.
Tip Harris, he's a rapper guy. He's an actor.
I know Tia.
Yeah, he's an actor. He's in the Ant-Man movies. He's the gang of thieves that the Ant-Man hangs out with, the Russian guy, the Hispanic, and the black guy. Obviously,
Hey,
he's the
man.
black guy.
Sure. Yeah, Larry, you know that, right?
I'm
Yeah,
down.
You watch that show.
I'm hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on I did a Facebook watch show, a prank show, and he did it, and he was great.
Yeah, he's Mr. Businessman. He's got movies, TV shows. He's kind of has a little empire going, and of course he's an executive producer on the show. So, but it's cool. It's good. I mean, I've done the previous season, so, and this is now doing it remotely. But so far it's working out good. So,
I plan on making mac and cheese later.
cool. I'll join you for that.
Which brings us back to cheese.
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 Yeah, I took my daughter to go get. She wanted some sushi at the grocery store.
Speaking of cheese.
Yes, and I had to go down the aisle to get some Triscuits, and I saw it up on the top shelf, the Cheese Whiz, and I went, "Damn, I haven't had Cheese Whiz in years." And it comes in a can, and it comes out of that little tube, and it's so delicious, man.
So anyway, let's start the show.
Yeah. Okay, please.
Now, Fred, you know what the topic is, right?
Fred knows what the
Cheese.
and thank you for being so flexible.
Joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. I thought I told you before, I was like, don't change. You don't have to change it for me, but then you weren't changing it for me. Then I was offended. Then I got back on board.
Well, trust me, this is a much better
You'll
topic.
have more fun with this.
This is much more. And of course, you are on some substance at this moment, correct? That was the rule,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Good. Because hey.
I've just taken 2 tabs of chiclets. So, let's start this thing. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Give me a moment.
Okay, but just at the remember, Fred, it's been a while since you've been on the show. We're gonna introduce ourselves. That we're gonna say what the topic is. Then we're gonna introduce you, and then we're gonna go to town. Once we get to the end of the show, it's like, hey, this has been great. It's been fun. What you're working on? Is there anything? Tell us about the YouTube show. Whatever the hell else you want to plug.
All right.
He's done this before, yeah.
Yes, he has done this before. Yes. I think a few times.
What was the last topic we had him on for?
I'm
So
sorry.
It was after spaceships, villains, I think.
It was comic, wasn't it comic book related, like comic book movies would like to see or something like that?
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Superhero movies you'd like to see? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
The comic
okay.
books
That's it.
that yeah.
That was
Right,
when we
okay.
did horror and sci-fi cold cuts.
Right.
No, I don't think that's what it was called. It wasn't.
Thanks
called,
for yes ending.
No, but I'm just
Okay.
saying. I would have known if you had a title called Cold Cuts.
Yes. I know, because a little bit of spray cheese would help that.
I like a good
But
cold
let's
cut
start
with some
this.
cheese. Okay.
Which will
Let's start
bring
this.
us back to
Okay, here we go.
Cheese.
Here we go.
Cheese. Okay. We won't
know
use
that-
this part.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
don't
sorry.
worry. Don't worry.
Okay, no, I am right. Okay, I apologize.
start
Tammy,
fresh.
start over.
Start fresh.
Start fresh. Because as soon as I said it, my brain did a loop.
That's okay. Let's lead you in again.
I took this drug 10 years ago, and it's really
There's clumps of hair in your fingers there.
Take off your wig and stay a while.
James is just done. Like I told him not to let Fred do it.
No, I'm here.
Those were a lot of
Yeah, we picked a lot of good ones. I mean,
great, like from all over the place too.
Yeah, that was
and a
really
lot
good.
of ones that I either forgot or was not expecting.
yeah.
There was a couple times I was like, I thought for sure it's like, oh, we're all gonna say the same ones. But, you know,
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
there's only
Not-
3
not
in the
this
known
group.
universe.
Not
Right.
this group.
Well, James, I gotta hand it to you, man. That was one I didn't see coming at all.
Cartoon All Stars.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want
I'm
to check it
telling
out.
you,
None
I'm
of
looking
you,
for that now.
none of you remembers that.
I have no memory
I remember that
whatsoever.
title. I totally remember that title, Cartoon All
It
Stars.
got so much publicity.
I know,
We were,
yeah.
we were
Hey.
only 25 at the time, so
I was wasted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was knee deep in the ladies.
yeah.
Fred, we're gonna do our normal little bit of business, but you're good. You're wrapped.
I'm wrapped. I'm wrapped.
You can
You're
go off,
wrapped.
go off and smoke your reefer. You're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I love that Larry's just the hardest drug you know of is reefer.
Yeah.
You know what? We wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
always has to be that guy.
Someone needs to have, at least one of our parents here. So
I'm glad we did to keep us in line.
yeah.
The
yeah.
chaperone.
Hey guys, can I do a little I gotta
What's that?
I gotta drain my reefer.
Yeah, and then let's
Yeah.
try to do this fast too. The
Yes,
whole,
we will.
Yeah.
Okay. Me too. I'm gonna be back.
I'm just going to stay here and talk. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to take a moment of your time to say that tonight's show was about drugs, but in no way is Monster Party endorsing or condoning drug use. Be safe and just say no to drugs. That's what the creature would say. Or actually, I guess the creature would say something like, yes. I tell you, there's just so many other references that we could have talked about. If only we could have moved a little faster. But again, I'll just save all these for when we do drugs part 2, or the we'll probably call it something like Drugs: The Reckoning or something like that, probably. But I've enjoyed these times.
Oh, well, I hate to interrupt your one-man show. Yeah.
You might like it.
Yes, it's welcome to Series of Grievances with Larry Strode.
Do you remember that episode, that Pet Peeves episode? We get to a point I go, okay, so now we're not done because I have some pet peeves with each of you. Do you remember that?
That was one of those moments that was surprising and not surprising. and it tickled me to my core.
And it's funny, Sean was making comments about it. Well, if you listen to the episodes, I have been listening, I always listen to our episodes,
Yes.
multiple times. And I've listened to a few where I've said, it's the new leaf. It's the new leaf. And I'm like,
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's okay.
What I need to do is write these down and post them up right when I'm doing a show, so I can actually say, my new leaf from 2017 said I was going to do this, and my new leaf from 2019 said I was going to do this. But
you certainly have time right now. So
yes, I have.
So go for it. Okay, so keep America strong.
Do drugs.
Take a lot of drugs.
or I could say something like, Monster Party does not condone drug taking.
Oh, that'd be funny.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. No, wait, we gotta get the Cartoon All Stars in there somehow.
Or Larry could
And
say,
remember, as the Cartoon All Stars say, don't do drugs, or something like that.
or just say no.
They did put down that bung.
Wow,
I like that.
nice.
I can't do it. I can't really do it.
That's pretty good.
That's
That's
not that
pretty good.
Or do a different cartoon character saying that, like whatever.
Yeah, what other cartoon voices can you do?
Yeah. I was going to say
I-
Daffy.
Daffy is the one I connect to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're despicable. Is
Yeah.
there something we could put in there that's like,
No, I think, like I said, keep America strong.
Keep America strong.
Or we could say,
how about watch
Yeah.
drug movies responsibly?
Oh,
Yeah. Watch
Yeah.
drug genre movies responsibly, or genre movies about drugs, or I guess just drug movies. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I'm just trying to the more you add words.
Yeah.
it
Watch
can
drug
get-
movies responsibly. And then maybe Larry can say the thing about
Monster Party does not condone the use of drugs.
Or
Hey, well, you could say that, and then I could say, "You're despicable."
Yeah.
but
There you
it's
go.
not. But you have to
That's
relate.
not
to
it has to be a drug thing.
No, it has to be the cartoon All Stars has to be in there somehow to make
Well,
sense why you're doing
who was in that?
Daffy Duck.
Well,
Who was in that?
Bugs and Daffy were in it, but somebody did reference Sylvester during the show, so it does tie that in.
Yeah.
Whatever it's worth.
Can you do Sylvester?
You just did.
No, that's Daffy.
No, that's Daffy Duck. It's
Oh,
kind
you're
of actually
despicable?
similar.
Daffy-
Similar.
They're very
Then-
similar. Yes, Daffy
You're
would do.
despicable.
Daffy would do the thing where he would at the end, it was one of the, rabbit season, duck season things.
Right.
And at the very end, I think he's, his
Yes.
bill
beak
is
is-
like whatever. Yeah.
Do Daffy. That's
You're
perfect.
despicable.
That's perfect.
Yeah. After Larry's thing. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Monster Party does not condone or approve the use of drugs in this episode.
Or I could do
That's good. That's perfect. That's perfect.
drugs, mine. No.
Oh yeah.